Alright, you and I are starting off with an absolute loser who just got rejected by his crush. She is gorgeous. But a rich bully slams me, telling me to stop staring at the school goddess Jo Yun. That was my life. Just a total bottom-tier loser named Tae-In. I was just the guy reading comics in the corner, until the literal apocalypse crashed right into my school day. Windows shattered. This massive purple monster crawled out of nowhere, tearing the floor apart. The same arrogant bully who trash-talked me. Now he is on the floor, begging for his life. Suddenly, a glowing blue system screen floated right in my face. The message was simple: humanity is toast, and I am the one chosen to fight. The catch? Survived 66,000 years of torture and training in some otherworldly tower. But the system left me a loophole. Now pay attention, I use my bonus to ask for a legendary skip ticket. The system panicked, claiming it would break the balance of the entire world. But I yelled back. The rules said any item was allowed, no exceptions. Cornered by its own logic, the system handed over the golden ticket. Game on. I skipped 66,666 years of hell in 1 second. Notifications started spamming. I cleared the tower. All my power restrictions? Gone. My stats hit triple S rank. I am no longer just human. I woke up a god. The purple monster charged, but I didn't even blink. I flicked its forehead. Man, I definitely miscalculated my own strength. I didn't just disintegrate the monster. I erased the school, and its very soul. Trust me, I didn't mean to slice the entire country in half with a flick. Planetary strike. The system starts calculating my massive rewards. I cleared over 300 gates and conquered every trial. Million monsters dead. Total casualties caused by me, 2 billion people. The bully is terrified, asking what happened. I am just surprised he is being polite. Time for magic. Let's try reversing time. Everything rewinds. The destruction vanishes, and the monster stands before me again. Tae-In finishes the spell. The monster panics. It is my first day as a god, and I am loving it. The beast tries to run, but I trap it with coordination magic instantly. Killing it twice feels mean, so I just toss it into another dimension. I take a stretch. The bully thinks I am some incredible hero now. I just tell him I didn't kill it, sent it to another dimension. He is thanking me for saving his pathetic life. Wait, this guy definitely wasn't this nice earlier. I remember now, he ordered me to buy him bread earlier today. Now he is begging me to forget. As I walk closer, he starts screaming that he doesn't need anything anymore. He is seriously sorry, begging for mercy. I tell him to hold on. There is a swarm of monsters attacking outside. He screams, begging for his life. I have priorities. I must save my parents first. He agrees, that's fair. Then, I teleport straight out of there. At home, my parents are just watching television. And that's where we leave it. Let's see how they handle their god-tier son. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where the main character snaps. Tae-In's father jumps off the couch, totally stunned, wondering what in the world is happening outside. Monsters are tearing the city of Seoul apart. As they panic, a massive beast suddenly appears at the window. The monster winds up a punch while his parents try to hide. But Tae-In suddenly appears right behind the creature. Without breaking a sweat, he activates his inverted gravity ability directly on the target. The monster starts floating into the sky, screaming in pure terror. Tae-In turns and tells his parents he is still their son. They are just confused. They ask what that was, and why he is wearing shoes inside the house. He steps inside and shouts that shoes don't matter now. They worked hard to raise him for 16 years. Seeing their son constantly glued to his phone, reading manhwa used to worry them every single day. But watch this, he tells them not to worry, because he's been chosen as humanity's savior. They just think it's nonsense. Tae-In explains he always wondered how manhwa protagonists would act during a real-life calamity like this. Usually, those characters just get overpowered abilities, or a chance to fulfill their wildest desires. But he won't be like those selfish leads. He immediately starts casting several high-level enhancements on his parents. His parents think he has lost his mind. He creates massive energy barriers to protect the home above all else. He promises they'll be safe here. No monster on Earth will be able to touch them for now. Now he has to save the world. He says goodbye, telling them he loves them one last time. He vanishes in a flash of light. His parents can only shout that they love him too. Back at school, Tae-In reappears and the bully asks about his parents. Tae-In simply replies that they are fine now. The bully acts relieved, but then he demands the bread he told Tae-In to go buy. Tae-In has had enough. As a former victim, it is finally his duty to teach this jerk a lesson. He triggers mass summoning magic, terrifying the bully. He says it must be hamburger buns this time, so he should stuff himself with all these food packages. A literal mountain of food packages buries the bully where he stands. Tae-In isn't impressed. He gives the bully a 7 out of 10 on the satisfaction scale. The bully is terrified. He screams that he never did anything bad enough to deserve this treatment. Now, you and I need to see the truth. Let's look at the flashback he's showing. The bully doesn't even remember, but Tae-In vividly recalls the mocking laughter during his beatings and the stench of his burning uniform that he was forced to remove. He remembers the taste of the school lunch that was thrown in a toilet before he ate. He remembers the despair of seeing a lock on his glasses. The delinquent shouts that he never did any of that. He admits he asked for the bread, but says the rest is a lie. Tae-In doesn't even wear glasses. Tae-In's eyes go cold. He asks if the bully is really calling him a liar now. The bully panics, admitting it sounds like he really did those things. Tae-In says he'll accept the apology and forgive him for everything. As a gift for their future relationship, he decides to transform the bully into something he likes. The bully thinks he's becoming a bodybuilder, but Tae-In activates a high-level shape-shifting spell instead. Smoke fills the room. When it clears, Kim Il-jin has been turned into a hamburger bun. The bun bully asks what he's done, but Tae-In just calls him cute. He says he'll transform him back if he sincerely repents. Il-jin begs for mercy. Right at that moment, a girl's voice calls out to him from behind. It's Yuna. She's shocked, telling him he looks like someone chosen by the gods themselves. While the bully begs to be human again, she asks if that hamburger is actually alive and cute. She asks if he's not scared. The world has changed and many people have lost their lives. Everyone at school is gone and the phones are dead. There's nobody left to call for help anymore. She's terrified of dying. She can't understand how the protagonist can be so happy right now. Tae-In calls her name, asking if she has ever read a webtoon. They're fun to read and there's no need to overthink things too much. He says they're the only ones here because the author was lazy. She asks what on earth he's talking about, but he just calls her way too boring for the lead. Yuna is stunned. Tae-In decides she's a villain trying to ruin the flow of his chapters. So, let's see which female lead you and I will meet next. You and I are about to see what happens when an overpowered main character gets bored. That portal starts glowing, blinding everyone. Yunya asks what the hell is going on. The protagonist wants to summon the most beautiful woman from any dimension right now. Outside, the monsters are literally terrified. As the smoke clears, Il-jin asks what that pervert did. Tae stands there, stunned by the girl emerging from the mist. She is holding a bloody knife, staring him down. Tae is frozen, completely unable to find any words. The girl calmly mentions that she just killed Germain with her own bare hands. Our hero realizes she is a romance fantasy lead. You know, the noble woman who seduces a tyrant, takes his life, and becomes the villain herself. Her husband was arrogant from the start, especially for calling her by her first name. No one had ever been that casual with her. Not even the high-ranking House Libert. Tae-In cuts her off, telling her to stop. He says nobody gave him permission to change the genre. He knows she is Lele Layla, and he understands how vital those first 3 webtoon chapters really are. If she drags in some random outside plot like this, they will be stuck at school for 3 whole episodes, and readers will hate the slow pacing. The girl ignores him and keeps talking, but Tae-In tells her to drop the flowery, glittering dialogue already. Layla snaps back, asking who he is to yell at her. The protagonist just tells her to lower the knife. Tae admits he rarely reads these types of romance fantasy stories. Confused, the girl wonders where she is and why she is dressed so strangely. Just a second ago, she was stabbing her husband. But the protagonist snaps his fingers, tossing the dagger away and telling her to clean off the blood with magic. The girl suddenly radiates divine beauty, leaving the others blushing. Layla asks who he is, but Tae-In turns because he senses something massive approaching. He immediately activates a defensive barrier using the system's magic. A monster strikes the school with a massive staff, but it hits the shield without doing any damage. Yun screams in terror while Layla asks what that thing is. Tae-In just watches the monster keep swinging. The beast roars in frustration since it cannot break through. Our hero calls it an idiot monster, perfect for a warm-up. He flies out the window, limiting himself to only a 1/1,000,000th of his true power. Now watch this. With an unranked shockfinger skill, he obliterates the giant beast as the girls stare in total awe. Layla is impressed, but Yunya says magic shouldn't be possible. Tae just shrugs. As long as it is fun, who cares? With a simple D-rank freezing skill, he turns all those monsters into ice with 0 effort. The protagonist uses his stomp skill, creating an earthquake that shatters every monster in sight. Tae sighs, thinking he might have gone a bit overboard. Even when holding back, his power is just way too high. Then, he immediately starts smiling about it. The system confirms the first kill as an endless horde of monsters begins charging toward him. I know what you're thinking, this is the ultimate hunter fantasy world. Tae then activates his maximum flight speed and kicks his psionic abilities into high gear. The monsters are sliced to pieces as our hero continues his relentless advance. He takes down a massive dragon monster, then stops to think about what he should do with the portal. Usually, you would have to enter and clear it, but he doesn't have time for that. He uses dimensional exile instead. The monsters are teleported back through the portal just as it slams shut. They never had a chance. The protagonist decides to just wipe the portal out entirely, finishing his dimensional exile. Tae-In notes that Seoul should finally be safe for the time being. He teleports back and finds the girls chatting. Layla says she has been listening to the others and finally understands how this strange world works. She thinks she traveled to the future. The hero explains that isn't quite right, then uses his transform skill to help her fit in. He tells her that dress is way too hard to draw, especially after a messy fight with giant monsters. Layla transforms into casual clothes, and Kim Il-yeon falls for her instantly. Layla demands a cloak or dress right now, but the protagonist says her hair is too annoying to draw, so he ties it up. Yuna says she really didn't need to know the specifics of that pervert's personal taste. That's where we leave it with our hero claiming he's just being helpful. But you and I know he's just getting started. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where even a simple outfit choice gets complicated. Our main character tells Miss Lieberschon it might be new to her, but she can wear it confidently. Yoon asks for designer brands like Chanel, but Tae wonders if that even fits her character vibe. Layla cuts in, declaring she is no longer a Lieber, but the noble Princess Klisawach. This means she is officially a princess now, but even with her hair up, she still looks like a total mess. Layla feels tainted, believing she is unworthy after taking her own husband's life in cold blood. He apologizes, admitting he doesn't know the story of her world, but he honestly has no idea what she is talking about. He can sense her tragic past, but he is not looking for a sad life story right now. He guesses she has a terminal illness, and she is completely shocked that he somehow knows. He figures it was an unloved arranged marriage and her husband messed up, leading to this entire tragic disaster. Now watch this. As we see her reveal the villainous label she never actually earned. She breaks down crying because it's true, but Tae promises her a brand new life. She worries about killing the prince, but our main character reminds her he struck first. He activates Seraphim's blessing and tells her she is innocent, making her feel a surge of incredible warmth. Tae has fully healed her body, meaning she is no longer on the brink of death. Now Layla is finally free, without a powerful father or a perfect friend holding her back. No husband or prince could ever grant her this freedom, yet this stranger just handed her the greatest gift imaginable. She thanks him through tears as he realizes he just cleared a 33 monster achievement. He brushes it off just the beginning. Suddenly, the system alerts him that the constellations are watching. Satisfying these gods brings sponsorships and skills, but our main character just finds it all confusing. With constellations watching, he orders the system to block every single one of them. The system can't believe he's refusing this chance, but you and I know he hates these gods. He ignores the system and asks his friends if they are ready to help save the world. Elsewhere, the High Council of Celestial Beings gathers to discuss the situation. Huja Karuna of Rage is absolutely furious that a mere human refused his favor. The constellation of games is intrigued, while others think the boy needs a painful lesson. The King of Constellations, Sekai, tells them to respect the human who climbed the tower. Muramu of Despair refuses to believe a human could do something so impossible. Demita of Envy points out that he somehow skipped every single floor. They plan to visit personally and eliminate him if he threatens the cosmic order. Back on Earth, Tae shares his power. He tells them to go forth and hunt monsters at will, but Yun wonders why she should risk her life and Il-jin agrees, it is too much. Tae reassures them not to worry because they are his companions and he definitely won't let them lose their lives. Yunya argues he could solo everything with his level, but Tae is just tired of hearing her say those things. Even for a main character, destroying everything alone would be pretty boring. A monster charges. He kills the beast in one blow, explaining that as he grows stronger, the stories of the characters around him must get even more interesting. Yunya is lost, but Layla gets it they need to slay to survive. She already ended her husband, so now she feels ready to kill anything. His primary goal is just making this story more interesting for everyone. Now he is forming his party, giving Layla the role of assassin as she activates her powerful Malice Unleashed skill with her dagger. The monster is shredded into pieces as Layla finally celebrates the liberation of being the group's deadly assassin. Yunya is confused by his words, but the main character is happy with her new character concept. She is feeling a new emotion, and trust me, you and I are just getting started. Stick with me, we start as tentacles, grab the princess, while another beast creeps up from behind. Il-jin screams for them to save her. Yuna says hurry up as Hamburger charges forward while the protagonist cheers. He reflects on his role. Il-jin lands a massive headbutt that does nothing. He rages about being a useless mascot and begs for a cool power too. Meanwhile, Layla thanks Hamburger. Il-jin turns away, playing it totally cool. Tae calls it fun while slicing the monster apart, leaving Yuna completely stunned by the sheer power display. Tae tells her it is time to show off, but Yuna refuses. He is ridiculously strong and can even bend time itself. He was the one chosen by the gods to rewind everything before the world turned into this absolute nightmare. While everyone else fights for their lives every single day, his main priority seems to be having as much fun as possible. Tae confirms it instantly, saying she will get it eventually. In this wasteland, having a good time is the only thing that matters. Yuna feels the vibe shift, just as the protagonist points out a massive bird monster circling them in the sky. Yuna is supposed to take it down. The girl grips her staff with insane force and swings, sending that monster flying into the distance. Everyone is floored because Yuna is a powerhouse. Iljin jokes that she belongs in a baseball league. She admits to childhood training, then Tae suddenly senses something creepy right behind him. He spins around to block a spell, wondering why these monsters are suddenly throwing high-level magic at them. Pay attention, because this villain is impressed that our hero stopped his massive energy with his bare hands. Tae is shocked to recognize him. The stranger is surprised to find a hidden master. Tae realizes this man is actually the legendary heavenly demon. Cheon-ma wonders how he was identified, while Tae admits he is just a fanboy. Yuna wonders how this pervert knew him. Tae tells Yuna to look up Cheon-ma's webtoon. He is a martial arts icon, always written as the ultimate bad guy. Cheon-ma tells him to shut up, suspecting that the massive energy wave from the east was likely his doing. Tae asks if he means the attack that sent a massive shockwave across the entire Korean peninsula. Cheon-ma confirms it and wants to know why. He explains that martial arts have rotted over the centuries, leaving humanity as nothing but weak, pathetic ants. He was bored of the peace, so the world was reset. Monsters started falling from the sky like rain. Cheon-ma loved it. He was finally seeing the kind of beautiful chaos he had never known before. But just as he was enjoying the madness, a terrifying surge of energy came rushing in from the east. He panicked and used his ultimate seal. That burst of power hits Tae, but he just brushes the attack away like it is nothing. Cheon-ma is stunned by this raw, destructive power. But wait, the situation gets even more insane from here. You and I both saw that, right? He literally reversed time and fixed everything like it was nothing. This was clearly the work of a god-tier master. His instincts took over. He crossed oceans and continents on foot just to meet this man in person. Yuna ignores the fact that he walked across the sea and asks how a Chinese man speaks Korean this perfectly. Tae tells her to stop being logical. The master declares he is here to take the life of this eastern powerhouse. Tae just shouts about how cool this is. He is actually meeting the real heavenly demon. Cheon-ma laughs and prepares for a fight. The girls realize their friend has no sense of danger. He charges up his demonic energy, unleashing the devastating heavenly dragon palm technique. The strike causes a massive explosion, but Tae instantly teleports behind him. He calls the attack way too slow. Tae admits he always wanted to do that. Get behind someone and say too slow in a deep voice. He has evolved and wants to test his new strength against Cheon-ma, because that move looked totally badass. Cheon-ma just apologizes for the confusion. He turns his back, claiming he would rather go hunt some monsters instead. He says it was a waste of time, but Iljin knows better. The demon is just making excuses. Cheon-ma scoffs at Korea, thinking that if a weakling like this is their protector, the whole country is doomed. But Tae stops the heavenly demon right there. He warns him that he just crossed the line. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see him defend the Republic of Korea next. Alright, you and I are about to see exactly how broken our protagonist really is. Cheon-ma launches a palm attack, but Tae just casually watches the energy come his way. Tae blocks with a stone easily, but gets trapped in demonic energy. Meanwhile, Yunya calls out to him. The celestial demon notes this martial art compresses space itself. Tae breaks free, calling the sensation refreshing. Cheon-ma is stunned. Our hero admits it is annoying, but honestly, it is still pretty cool. Tae tells him to join his team now. Everyone present is completely shocked by the sudden proposal. Cheon-ma claims his skill was perfected over centuries. As the number one under the heavens, he refuses to lose to a brat. Tae just laughs at that title. He mentions he just thought of something that sounds like a lot of fun. Tae tells Cheon-ma his normal life is over. Then, he suddenly activates his strange transformation ability. Iljin wonders what is happening. Smoke hits Cheon-ma, who demands to know what kind of trick this is. He realizes his voice and face have turned feminine. Every single person in the group is left speechless. Now here is where things get wild. Tae says Cheon-ma is no longer the strongest man, but the strongest woman. Cheon-ma screams, wondering what happened. Yunya calls Tae a total pervert, but the protagonist just complains. Gender swapping a charming character for fun is a classic trope, though it is apparently getting rare these days. Yunya tries to say something, but the protagonist tells her to shut up and not speak more than 3 lines. Cheon-ma charges forward, demanding to be changed back. She just wants to return to her normal self. Tae merely smacks Cheon-ma on the head. He notes that she always acted like she was at the top while in this form. He warns her that if she acts up again, the next strike is definitely going to be harder. Yunya complains that he is a villain for hitting and threatening a woman. The protagonist just laughs, happy to have a new team member. Cheon-ma wonders if she can ever return to normal while acting as the group's new sister. Tae tells everyone to act gentle. It is time to head out and hunt some local monsters around there. He calls it easy and teleports away to save the world. The girls are left wondering what to do next. Pay attention, because we are shifting to the White House emergency room in Washington right now. They discuss the coming disaster, realizing humanity faces extinction. A quick decision must be made immediately. The president asks if they should use nuclear bombs, even if it means hitting their own territory. The Secretary of Defense admits with a heavy heart that even their chemical and biological weapons are not enough. Once the gate finally opens, no amount of conventional, mechanical, or chemical equipment will stop the endless swarm of monsters. The president slams the table, cursing this disaster. He wishes the bombs would clear the gates, but Tae-In interrupts to say he will handle it. The president asks who he is. Our hero introduces himself as the savior of humanity and the legendary pervert from Korea. The room falls silent before everyone starts shouting and drawing weapons. Tae just tells them to listen up. A guard orders him to put his hands on his head or be shot. The protagonist just complains it is painful. Others shout that he appeared out of nowhere and must be a monster. The president tells them to wait. Shots are fired, but the security guards are left completely stunned. He stops every bullet with a wave of his hand. He laughs, telling them they must trust him now. He gives them a simple order: get rid of every single nuclear weapon they currently possess. The president refuses, but Tae uses mass manipulation to take control of everyone in the room. They turn into puppets. The president orders NASA and all units to activate code 389. He commands them to launch every piece of nuclear equipment they have immediately. Terrified soldiers follow the order. Thousands of missiles are fired, though the exact warhead count remains unknown. Approximately 8,000 units are launched. Tae decides to move, activating his incredible invisible hand ability. A massive energy palm holds the weapons in place. Then, he activates his replicate ability. All the missiles fall under his control. He orders every single one to be launched directly into the open portal. The nuclear weapons fly toward the portal. Tae celebrates his victory. Trust me, you and I don't want to miss what happens when Moscow decides to retaliate. Trust me. Tae-In's arrival changes everything. Bullets fly in every direction, but he brushes them off. The guards are left wondering what just happened. Back in the United States, the secretary gets the report. Every single portal has been officially cleared out. Tae-In pops up, claiming he saved the world while thanking them for launching those nukes on faith. The president is baffled, but Tae-In explains the truth: those nuclear bombs didn't touch reality, making the portals vanish. As the world thanks the Korean hero, he drops a warning. Monsters are still out there, lurking. He tells them to do their best before vanishing via teleportation. Good luck, America. You will need it. Back in Korea, Cheon-ma drops a monster with a single kick. Tae-In watches, impressed by her growth. Yuna is furious, demanding to know if he realizes how close they came to dying before the portals exploded. She wants to know if he pulled the trigger. Tae-In just nods, noting that Il-jin is actually working hard, but their team is missing a tank. Suddenly, boom! A massive explosion rocks the ground behind them. Now watch this, because a literal god is about to descend and change the entire game for everyone. She is Udarain of Justice, here to judge him in its holy name. Tae-In isn't worried, he just found his new tank. Cheon senses a true master's energy, but he stays back. He calls out to the system, demanding answers about these so-called divine seats. The system had blocked all talk about constellations before. He acts like it was all a simple misunderstanding. He claims he doesn't hate them. He was just preoccupied with the monster invasion. No big deal, right? Udarain snaps back. The problem is that humanity hasn't sacrificed enough. It is all his fault. Tae-In is stunned. Not sacrificed enough? The monsters and the body count were all the work of these constellations. Udarain confirms it. Suddenly, the system announces a full world explanation is coming our way. Every living soul produces an energy these gods need to survive. They call it entropy. So, they create life. Stronger species provide more energy. Tests are created to push evolution, farming more power from the survivors. Those who fail are erased, becoming fuel for the birth of a better species. But Tae-In broke the tutorial. He stole humanity's chance to grow through suffering and war. The constellations were watching, and his interference caused quite the stir among the divine. She has come to judge him personally. Tae-In finds the whole thing ridiculous. This science fiction explanation is absurd. Yuna is totally lost, wondering what kind of crazy talk this is. Our protagonist calls for Il-jin, telling him to summarize this god's rambling into 3 simple lines. If you like to skip the lore, the hamburger says to start right here. Gods drain energy, portals cause chaos, and Tae-In made them angry by ruining the fun. You and I both know these gods are insane. Tae-In totally agrees. Layla wants to fight, but Cheon warns her they aren't on this level yet. Tae-In activates Void Emergence. He shapes the void into a blade of pure space. He charges forward, telling her to take this. He's done with these constellations. His sword ability triggers, raining dozens of lethal slashes down on Udarain. She raises her own sword and blocks the entire barrage with zero effort. Tae-In is shook. His blade erases everything it touches, yet she stopped it like it was nothing. She mocks the transcendent of Earth, saying he's no match. He hits the ground, asking if that's all. Then, he triggers planetary explosion. The light blinds everyone, tearing through the atmosphere and erasing everything. But she just shrugs it off. Time to switch tactics. To create an opening, he needs a perfect multicasting counterattack. He tells the girls to move. It is time to create a dopamine-filled action scene together. Suddenly, Tae-In's hand is just gone. Udarain tells him to accept his judgment in peace. Tae-In screams as his hand vanishes. He triggers time reversal, saying it doesn't matter since he will just go back as many times as needed. Trust me, you and I are about to see his true power. Alright, stick with me, we're about to watch our main character outsmart a literal goddess. She explains that constellations and cosmic beings are completely immune to distortions of time and space. Back to the moment Cheon-ma claimed mastery, Tae-In tells everyone to relax because this guy is seriously powerful. Honestly, he wonders what the author was even thinking adding a character like this to the story. Yudu Rainey declares she's done testing his patience and that Tae-In must now accept her final judgment. Our lead wonders what judgment she's talking about. Just as Yudu Rainey summons the scales of justice into her hand, a legendary artifact Tae-In recognizes immediately. She explains that these scales weigh values on each side, letting the laws of the universe calculate the truth. Our protagonist is getting fed up with all her complex explanations. So, Yudu Rainey decides to show him exactly what his existence brings to the universe versus the threat he poses to the natural order. She wonders which side will weigh more, while Tae-In asks which side represents what. Now pay attention as the scales tip toward the threat. She warns that Tae-In has become a massive problem for the universal order. The judgment of the scales is absolute truth, so according to the universe, she has no choice but to suppress him. The main character thinks for a second, then flashes a smile, suggesting that since these scales can judge any problem, he has a better idea. Yudu Rainey confirms, noting that from a cosmic perspective, most human matters are completely trivial. The main character says that before she leaves, she should settle one of humanity's biggest debates by weighing it on those scales. The constellation agrees she can't ignore a direct request and asks what specific value he wants her to measure. Yuna wonders what Tae-In is even doing right now, but our protagonist just tells her not to worry because this is fun. He just can't resist a high-stakes balancing game, so he asks the big question which manhwa is actually more fun. The stick reinforced 99 times, or what can I do alone? Yudu Rainey and the other girls are completely caught off guard. Even Iljin is confused. Yudu Rainey asks him to repeat that, so Tae-In asks again which of the two manhwa is more entertaining. Yuna asks what those even are, and our protagonist is shocked that she doesn't know these legendary webtoons. He tells her she should just sell her brain to him, but the girl snaps back that that's literally impossible. Our main character jokes that he could probably just erase his own memories using some kind of special ability. Iljin tells the goddess to just ignore Tae-In since he's obsessed with webtoons, but Yudu Rainey has no idea what those are. The main character explains it's the best thing humans ever invented, but the goddess says they don't judge trivial human emotions like fun. Tae-In fires back that for a goddess, she knows nothing about this world, because honestly, nothing is more important than having fun. Anyway, he decides to simplify things to her level for a moment, making her wonder why his mood shifted so fast. Our protagonist continues, saying she's the constellation of justice who upholds the universal order. Yudu Rainey confirms, because the consequences of breaking that order would be far beyond anyone's wildest predictions. You and I saw that coming. Tae-In argues she's just sacrificing him to avoid consequences she can't even predict. Yudu Rainey is completely left without a comeback. Our main character continues, guessing she was about to argue that small sacrifices for the greater good are just inevitable. From a cosmic perspective, talking about universal order is actually biased, especially when using those scales of judgment. This might look fair from a cosmic view, but from a human perspective, it's totally unjust. Yudu Rainey asks if he really thinks he's more important than the universe. Tae-In explains he's questioning the scales because forcing his sacrifice from a cosmic viewpoint is simply a matter of what's just versus unjust. So, they should really think about it. The goddess creates two weights for the scales, and suddenly, they start tipping toward the side of injustice. Yuna is confused and asks what just happened. Our protagonist replies that the result was totally obvious, leaving the goddess completely stunned by the outcome. Tae-In asks if she still plans to restrict him by claiming he's a threat to the natural order of things. Yudu Rainey admits he's right and realizes that this whole situation is incredibly unfair to him. Layla notes that Mr. Tae-In is actually very intelligent, while Yuna admits she still has no idea what's going on. Our main character explains that justice changes depending on your perspective, then asks if he can make a final suggestion to the goddess of justice. If she's so worried about him breaking the universal order, she should just stay by his side and keep an eye on him. He never planned to mess with the order, He just got angry when constellations attacked humanity, and since helping the weak is her duty, they should team up. Rainey agrees that his point is incredibly rational and intelligent, so she promises to stay by his side from now on. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens with the goddess on the team. Stick with me, Tae-In says. He has one more thing to settle. He asks if she thinks it was fair for the constellations to slaughter humans through those portals. Rainey freezes, stunned by the question, before looking down in shame. She manifests 2 magical spheres on a scale, and seeing the human side tip confirms Tae-In was right all along. Rainey just sighs in silence. Honestly, her lack of a real answer clearly annoys our main character. She takes flight, soaring past the atmosphere to use her massive magic to wipe out every ongoing invasion on Earth. In one world, a giant elephant stops its rampage mid-charge, leaving the terrified humans behind in total shock. That monster, and all the others across the planet, simply vanish as Rainey completes her massive sacred purification spell. Down on the surface, Layla shields her eyes from a light that blinds the entire planet. Cheon-ma notes that the demonic energy vanished instantly. The main character just nods. It is exactly what he expected from a constellation. Now watch this part closely. Rainey says she feels manipulated, but our main character just brushes it off. Protecting Earth was just a small piece of the puzzle, but he also gained an incredible new member for his growing group. When Rainey suddenly changes clothes, the whole group blushes. Tae-In just blinks and asks what on earth she is doing. She casually explains that since they are not in combat anymore, there is no reason to keep her heavy armor on. Tae-In quickly uses transformation magic to create a casual outfit for her, secretly thinking she looks absolutely beautiful while she dresses. Rainey wonders why she should wear clothes with 0 defense stats and immediately starts taking her shirt back off. He has to yell at her to stay dressed. She just huffs, muttering that humans are way too hard for her to understand. The system appears and calls Tae-In a pervert because the other constellations are furious that even the goddess of justice has been corrupted by him. Tae-In just grumbles that if they are so angry, he should probably go and crush every single one of them. But the system interrupts, saying the Tower Master himself has requested a personal face-to-face meeting with him. Rainey mentions the rumors that the Tower Master is the one who started this mess by giving powers to the wrong people. Without warning, the system announces it is escorting them straight to the dimension of eternal night. Tae-In just smirks, warning that he has a few choice words for whoever is running this tower. You feel that too, right? He refuses to leave his new team behind, even while Cheon-ma complains they are only here because of his stubborn, unilateral decisions. Layla asks where they are going, but Tae-In just pretends the system is forcing the teleport on its own. He tells the system to hurry it up as the warp to the eternal night dimension begins to glow. A blinding light wraps around the group, whisking them away until they suddenly find themselves standing before a massive, dark castle. Yun wonders where they are while Iljin feels sick. Tae-In realizes they have finally reached the very top of the testing tower. Suddenly, a voice rings out, welcoming the constellation of justice to his humble home. The man claims it is an honor to have such a guest. He introduces himself as Sugushi Nujo, the master of this tower. The master adds that it has been a very long time since he has seen a sight quite like this one. He notices the companions too, asking how insects dare step into this sacred place, promising he will break their bodies and take their lives once and for all. A wave of pure, terrifying energy explodes from him, paralyzing the entire group with absolute fear. One of the girls cries out for her mother, while Iljin just wishes she could have eaten a hamburger before dying. Tae-In just smiles because this is it, the first real boss they will face as a complete team. To him, it is just a game, and he is ready to have some serious fun. Layla looks at him like he is insane, asking if he actually plans on fighting that monster. Yun just wants to go home, but Tae-In tells them they will win if they work together, right until Sugushi grabs him. The master growls, asking how he dares to stand at the top without even bothering to climb all the floors first. Tae-In just looks at him, wondering if the guy is actually asking to get his butt kicked again. Sugushi slams him down, asking how much more he plans to insult him before listing every flaw he has. He calls him ignorant, arrogant, cunning, and selfish. He calls him vulgar and irresponsible, dumping every insult he can think of onto our main character. Tae-In wonders how long this lecture will last, but Sugushi just blasts him with a massive wave of raw energy. The shockwave actually hurts him. Tae-In groans as the damage starts to pile up from the master's relentless assault. Sugushi snarls that he will make him pay for every single year of pain he has had to endure, and he will make sure of it. The girls are paralyzed with shock as the Tower Master prepares to end their lives right then and there, until Cheon-ma warns him that he is actually the one going to hell. You and I are about to see her unleash that celestial destruction seal. Stick with me, because this battle is about to get absolutely out of control. He repels her strike, admitting he is surprised a non-transcendent could even survive a blow of that caliber. He mocks her, saying she should curse the pervert who led her to her death. He even tells Rainey he is sorry she had to witness something so pathetic. The constellation snaps back, arguing this is not how you treat a human who followed every rule to clear the tower. Sugushi retorts that his only purpose is serving the demands of the constellations. Apparently, everyone, even Wrath, hates this guy's existence, so Sugushi claims he is just doing his duty by ending him. Our main character starts questioning this Wrath constellation. Yudu Reni admits the Tower Master actually has a point. In that split second, everyone there realized they were looking at the final day of their lives. But Tae-In isn't having it. He shouts they won't die today and rips himself free from Sugushi's grip. The Tower Master is losing it, demanding to know how a mere human escaped his authority. Our main character just sighs, telling him he is as ignorant as he is arrogant. In a classic fight like this, it is only right for the hero to tank some hits before the real counterattack begins. He unleashes his power on Cheonma, and when she asks what is happening, he tells her to remember that exact feeling of terror, because that feeling of being on the brink of death, it is a sign that he won't ever lose, especially when fate is written in red. Yudu Reni is completely floored seeing a human face the Tower Master. This effortlessly is beyond incredible. Sugushi admits he miscalculated, but claims the hero is wrong about one very important thing. His friends are still dead meat. He surges his power forward, aiming right at the allies. Our hero parries the blast effortlessly, calling out Sugushi for his cowardly move of targeting the weak first. Sugushi is shaking, wondering how he got 10,000 times stronger. Now, pay attention, this is the part our hero has been waiting for. He reveals he was only using 1/1,000,000th of his true power against that monster back at the school window. Feeling the hype of his awakening, our hero finally starts his legendary self-introduction. He had been holding back his own strength. Now, the system sounds off, his power limit is fully released to 100%. Ilion thought he could blast continents away, yet he somehow felt weak while facing off against Yudu Reni. Tae-In apologizes for the delay, saying this guy was tougher than expected, so he could not save them much screen time. He activates his shock hit skill, piercing Sugushi twice instantly. The Tower Master can't believe it, but our hero warns him his stubborn selfishness ends right here, right now. Sugushi screams at Yudu Reni, claiming this is impossible. Because her power comes from him, she should not be able to surpass her own source. Then, he actually starts begging for his life. Tae-In just clocks him right in the face, calling him irresponsible and telling him to clean up his own mess. Admitting that made him sound like a total jerk too. As Sugushi screams in agony, he warns that if he dies, absolute chaos will swallow the tower and the entire dimension. The cosmic order would shatter forever. Our hero just slices him in half, calling the whole speech annoying. You and I both knew he wasn't going to let that slide. Sugushi fades away, swearing revenge. But our guy just shrugs, he just took down a super high-level boss. Yudu Reni is left wondering how Tae-In destroyed a cosmic entity so fast she could not even react. Our hero just offers a casual apology, knowing his friends were probably worried sick. His friends scream at him for being so reckless since they nearly died back there. But Tae-In tells them to hang on, he has not even gotten to the part about being selfish yet. They are convinced he is a total selfish jerk, but our hero is not listening, his eyes are fixed on the system screen. The system flashes, he has cleared the mission for defeating his first cosmic entity, and can now finally ascend. Tae-In figures it is just a massive power-up to boost his combat stats. It sounds like a blast, and now he is wondering how many more phases are left to clear. Yudu Reni asks if he actually realizes what he has done. By killing the Tower Master, he has just made an enemy out of every single constellation. Our hero asks if he was really supposed to just die like Sugushi wanted. Yudu Reni says no, of course not. Tae-In smiles, saying it does not matter who is against him as long as he has got her by his side. She demands to know when they became partners, but our hero quickly changes the subject. He is way more interested in tracking down that constellation of wrath mentioned earlier. Yudu Reni is worried. Is he seriously thinking about picking a fight with the god of wrath? He shakes his head, saying he just wants to see if he can talk things out first. She sighs, figuring that is okay, while Yuna just shakes her head, thinking he is a complete idiot. Trust me, you and I just witnessed a legend in the making. He will protect the universe for sure, but for now, it is finally time to go home. Alright, you and I are watching as the light teleports everyone out of the tower, but Tae-In and Yudo Rei get separated, landing in a completely different place. Tae-In asks where they are, and Yudo Rei realizes they've entered Huja Karuna's lair. It's scorching hot, they're standing right in the heart of a massive volcano. Yuna wonders why Tae-In keeps dragging them into these dangerous situations. Tae-In says their presence gives him strength, making the girls tell him to stop the weird talk. Only Layla actually falls for it, though. Huja Karuna lets out a hysterical, bone-chilling laugh. As Udina recovers her armor, the constellation calls them bold insects for trespassing. He slams the ground, causing explosions before striking Udina's sword with ease. The girl tries to resist while calling out the god's name, but he just mocks their reunion until a heavy fist suddenly connects with his face. Tae-In lands a heavy punch, warning him not to touch his friends. Everyone is stunned, and Yudo Rei can't believe what she just witnessed. Tae-In tells her not to worry about thanks, since he's just handling business. She explains that Huja Karuna is pure violence and can't control his rage. Flashback time, the constellation asks if this is the designated target planet. Now watch this, even while admiring the scenery, his internal rage starts to boil. He slams the ground with total force, shattering the entire world. He complains that he's always this angry, no matter the situation. Tae-In calls him an idiot, making the god wonder how an insect dared strike him. The lava expands as Udina warns that this dimension is tied to his emotions. If his anger peaks, this entire crater will explode. The obsidian lava incinerates everything, but Tae-In just wonders if the rising heat is bad. He simply uses absolute zero magic to calm the situation down. The god is frozen, but instantly shatters the ice, because he is wrath personified. Tae-In is done with talk. Let's see who wins this clash of fists. This constellation is on a totally different level than the Tower Master. Huja Karuna enjoys the cold sensation but remains absolutely furious. Tae-In is confused. Then the system suddenly activates his empathy skill. Their minds suddenly connect, leaving the god totally confused. Yudo-Rei tells him to stop connecting with those emotions, but Tae-In insists it's fine and tries to calm the god's mind while they're linked. The god feels new emotions, yet his rage keeps mounting anyway. Udina fears the rage will consume Tae-In as Yuna watches in horror. Tae-In breaks free, apologizing for blocking the messages and landing that first hit, but he wants to talk. Instead of talking, the god punches Tae-In in the face. Huja Karuna calls him a failure, leaving Tae-In wondering what that means. He grabs Tae-In's neck, claiming his low entropy means he must be reset. Udina realizes the portals weren't a test for humanity, but a plan for their total extinction. Tae-In is fed up with all these annoying explanations, saying they're just too much for the reader's ears. He triggers Ascension Stage 1, blasting the god back instantly. Tae-In claims this means nothing, as he's destined to be the best webtoon protagonist ever seen. The god can't believe an insect rivals his 10-star power. With purple hair and eyes, Tae-In enters the first stage of his transformation. Huja Karuna roars like a falling meteor, swearing to take his life. Tae-In complains about the screaming and strikes the god, telling him to cut it out. Huja Karuna gives everything and still fails. Trust me, you and I are in for a wild ride. Stick with me, we are watching Tae-In absolutely dismantle Hua Karuna while telling him to quit with all the loud screaming. He tells him to just die quietly. After all, this was supposed to be a fun game for him. Tae-In tosses him aside like trash. Hua Karuna blacks out, crashing into the ground right next to the protagonists. Yudu-Raini is frozen in shock. A literal constellation, killed by a human hand? The entire cosmic order just shattered. Suddenly, Hua Karuna stands up laughing. He claims this is fun and he should have shown this side earlier. Tae-In wonders if this is already a phase 2. That villainous laughter is never a good sign. Hua Karuna just mocks him, claiming his friends are basically corpses already. Tae-In snaps at him to shut his mouth and quickly turns around. He sees the girls collapsed from the extreme heat. Yudu-Raini warns that the villain's rage is spiking the temperature, making him even more powerful. The villain sneers, asking why justice wastes time on tiny insects that are all about to go extinct anyway. Tae-In calls his aura pure nonsense, but the villain warns that humanity's end is already here. He has already set his deadly arrangements in motion for the world. Now pay attention, he is about to release a deadly rage virus across the entire planet. Tae-In is confused, but the villain explains it clearly. From now on, every living being on Earth is a target. They will lose their minds and rip each other apart. Tae-In is getting even more irritated at this insane plan. He roars the villain's name, but the volcano is starting to blow. Yudu-Raini says they need to use teleportation magic to escape before they are buried. Tae-In winds up one last strike, but he is already being pulled away by the teleportation light. That light ascends within the volcano's dimension just before the entire place finally erupts. Tae-In curses the villain as they travel. He warns they have to stop that rabies virus on Earth immediately, and Yudu-Raini says they are already heading there. Tae-In thinks this is not a fair test for humanity. It is just a one-sided slaughter. He questions if this is what justice really looks like. Light streaks across the sky, and the protagonists finally appear back on Earth. Tae-In heals his friends and asks if they are okay. He feels terrible that this is his fault, until he spots an infected human standing right beside him. He dodges a bite with zero effort. Then, another 100 zombies start closing in on the group. The first test from the constellation of Wrath, a full-blown zombie apocalypse. He reflects that humans are purposeful life forms that explore the world around them. Biologically, we are just animals belonging to the order of primates and the Hominidae family, characterized by high intelligence and tools. They are social animals that build massive, complicated societal structures for interaction. If humanity loses its mind and society collapses, you cannot call them human anymore. There is only one name left for them: zombies. I know what you are thinking, zombies? But yeah, the virus changed everything. The girls are totally lost. A few monsters lung towards Yunya, but Tae-In steps right in their path to protect her. He decides this should not be happening. He triggers his electricity, frying the zombies and sending them into a panic. That is how you handle a horde. He says this will make them normal and asks if Yun is okay. The girl is furious. She asks what on earth he is doing and if he thinks this is a game. He tries to brush off her anger, but she slaps him hard enough to actually injure his face. She screams, asking if he is insane. They almost died being near him more times than she can even count. Tae-In says he only ever wanted to save her, but she is not having it. They were in a literal hell, burning and terrified, thinking they would die pathetically without ever getting to see their parents' faces one last time. She demands to know if he has any idea how horrible that is. He would not understand the fear. If this is all just for fun to him, he can go to hell. They feel like tools to show off his abilities. He should just do it alone or save them properly. Is this his version of companions? Taking lives without a second thought? That is not supposed to be fun either. Tae-In claims this is just how zombie stories work. Yoon screams at him, reminding him that these people are just sick and can still be saved. Then she tells him he has to save everyone here. Tae-In stays silent for a few seconds. He asks if she really thinks he is crazy enough to kill them. He only paralyzed them with an electric shock. If they get treatment, they will be totally cured. And you and I just witnessed a classic Tae-In win, even if he hates being called predictable for his fighting style. Let's dive into a story where being too strong is actually a curse. Tae-In kept ignoring Unri, no matter how annoying it got, until Oh finally shouted a warning about the zombie lurking right behind him. Tae-In whirled around, complaining that the bite actually startled him, before using his magic to suspend the monster in mid-air. He admitted he was genuinely rattled. Hwa wondered if our main character might turn, but Tae-In told her to relax, claiming it was just a minor virus. He unleashed a flashy healing spell, but realized the bite wound was not closing up at all. Confused, he tried the Seraphim Blessing, but once again, the holy magic had absolutely no effect on him. Uterini declared there was no other way. Since the virus held the power of constellations, he had to cut off his arm before the rage consumed him completely. But our main character was already seeing red. Uterina drew her blade, but he begged her to stay her hand. He was supposed to be the hero, but none of this made sense. He was just too powerful. Advancing the plot was impossible, and this felt like a forced nerf just to balance the scales. Now watch this. He let out a primal roar of fury that drew every zombie in the area straight toward them. Uterina regretted what she had to do, but Cheon-ma cut in, pleading for his life. Cheon-ma insisted they save him first, and Iljin backed her up. Layla warned the horde was closing in, but Uterini told Cheon-ma to move for the sake of the universe. Cheon-ma stood her ground, but Yunya interrupted. There was no time for a stand. They had to find safety before the pervert completed his transformation. Iljin asked how they would escape through that massive wall of zombies. Yunya promised they would be fine and asked Uterina to help them retreat. The undead kept shuffling closer and closer. They finally reached the school, where Uterini locked Tae-In into a chair using her ethereal prison. With him secured, the girls wondered what their next move should be. Layla felt for Tae-In, suggesting that if they took Hwa Karuna's life now, the virus might just vanish with her. Uterina shot that down immediately. Constellations are protected by the cosmic order, they do not just die. There was a way to destroy them, though. Cheon-ma noticed Tae-In's delirium and decided to try acupuncture. She struck several pressure points on Tae-In, causing him to cough up a massive amount of blood. Iljin noted Tae-In looked absolutely wrecked. Uterini doubted such cheap tricks could stop a constellation's power, but Tae-In felt his mind clearing as the blood flow improved. Uterini was shocked while Cheon-ma bragged. You and I both know this feeling. He begged to stay sane, realizing the author had given him a truly ridiculous destiny. With his powers gone, he pondered the author's plan, until a sudden realization hit him like a truck. He finally understood the next plot beat. He was destined to lose his life in this episode. In a separate apocalypse manhwa, another hero screamed for everyone to run. A blonde girl cried about their promise to stay together, but the green-haired boy revealed he had already been bitten. He apologized one last time, and the chapter abruptly ended. Tae-In wept, noting that even though the trope was obvious, it still hurt. He gave it a 10-star rating, commenting that such a selfless sacrifice was something schools could never teach. Then he went back to his noodles. Back in reality, Tae-In declared he would sacrifice himself for the group before the transformation was complete. He claimed this was the proper end for a hero, but Layla stopped him. She asked why he would die when they were all so powerful. Yunya sighed, telling him to stop being so dramatic. They were not helpless damsels who needed saving. Tae-In felt like the plot was falling apart without a sacrifice. Thinking it over, she was right. The zombies were not even a threat. Since everyone was already infected, meeting survivors was not even exciting anymore. He needed to find the story's real direction before his mind slipped away into madness again. And that is where we leave it. Even heroes need lunch. Wild, right? You and I are jumping back in as hunger strikes the group. Yoon is starving, and suddenly, everyone is eyeing Ilyun. He panics, yelling for them to stay back. Chanma casually orders him to be emergency food. Poor Iljin is terrified, pleading with them not to come any closer. He begs for a second, telling them to follow him instead. Chanma agrees, and Iljin frantically points something out. Look at that, enough hamburger buns for everyone. Yoon asks how they could possibly eat something like that. Chanma says to just open and eat. Yoon notes that for some reason, the burger looks half-eaten already. Layla wonders if Iljin feels bad eating his friends, but the burger snaps back that they were never his friends. The girls dig in. To warriors from ancient China or medieval Europe, the taste of this corporate Korean food is dangerously addictive and delicious. Back in the room, Udaranai asks Tae-In how he is holding up. Tae-In gasps out a thank you for keeping him restrained. Udaranai says thanks are not needed. He should never have faced Huja Karuna, as the suffering will now last until he dies. Our hero wonders what to do. The constellation refuses to let him fall. What they saw because of the other constellations was unfair, and she is determined to make it right. Tae-In thanks her for understanding his plight. Now, keep your eyes on this part. Udaranai says she can hold on, but there must be a way out, and his loyal friends will help him find it. The girls walk in, raving about the delicious burger. They only wish they could have put it in a microwave. The room goes quiet, but Tae-In suddenly snaps. He starts shouting about how incredibly frustrating this whole situation is. Udaranai pins him down, warning that he is losing his mind again. His resistance to the infection is clearly failing. Chanma admits things look hopeless. She needs him to turn back to her original form. Since she is stuck in this state, her powers are severely weakened. With her body changed, controlling her internal energy is a nightmare. Suddenly, Chanma senses something strange off in the distance. She warns the others that she feels energy coming from a nearby house. It is the energy of someone not consumed by rage. Udaranai says that is impossible, since the rage virus has infected every living soul. Chanma walks to the window, telling Udaranai that she is dead wrong. There is a perfect human exactly 2 kilometers away, heading their direction. Chonma claims she can even hear the girl breathing if she listens closely. Udaranai starts to focus, wondering what this mysterious presence could be. Layla asks if there are really other survivors out there. Yun reminds her that even the infected are technically alive. Udaranai says it is getting closer, but it is unlike anything else. Layla worries the person might be in serious danger. Tae-In is overcome with even more fury. The constellation desperately tries to keep him under control. Pay attention now, this power is rivaling a cosmic entity. If it keeps up, Tae-In might actually destroy the entire Earth. The constellation must stay to restrain him. She tells the girls they will have to handle this mission by themselves. Chonma leaps through the window, clutching Iljin. Layla calls out, and Yoon wonders if it is really okay for just them to go. Chonma soars over the ruined city using her incredible jumping ability. Iljin asks why she's bringing him along. Chonma says he understands this world and its light. The burger knows they need him. She lands in front of a house. She can feel the energy of a peaceful soul coming from the floor above. Iljin admits he is not worried about zombies as long as he is with Chonma. He wonders if the person will even open the door. The world has ended, and that window definitely was not the entrance. Chonma moves ahead, unsure of the floor level. She just crashes through a window right into a bedroom. Iljin is stunned by her entrance. Chonma looks around the house, doubting if anyone actually lives in this place. From behind the door, she hears the steady breathing of someone untouched by the rage. She swings the door open and freezes in total shock. Iljin wonders what is going on. The entire room is covered in posters from other webtoons. Chonma asks what these strange talismans are. Iljin says they look weird enough to be one, until the person on the bed moves. Chonma charges up her cultivator energy, but Iljin begs her to wait. Finally, the person starts to get up. It is just a girl who had been sleeping. Iljin is instantly smitten, calling her an incredible, legendary beauty. Chonma tosses him to the floor for being pathetic. The girl is shocked to see a talking burger and a spirit girl, real manhwa logic. Both are stunned, thinking the girl is just like Tae-In. The girl says this is like a scene from a webtoon. Chonma asks if everyone in this country is this crazy, and that is where we leave it. This girl is just happy seeing a talking burger. Wild, right? Alright, you and I are about to dive into the story of Lyra. When Iljin asks why she is not at school, Chonma wonders if they are friends, but the hamburger guy says she is actually super famous. She had a legendary reputation back at school. In the classroom, the teacher started handing out the graded tests. He told the class president to give Nara her paper since she was fast asleep. The president found that pretty weird. She was shocked because even though Nara slept through every single lesson, she still managed to get perfect scores on every exam. Iljin calls her the ultimate sleepy student. Nara spent her entire school life napping, and she was not even trying to hide it. She mentions that today is the school foundation day. Iljin explains that is exactly why the halls are empty right now. Chonma asks if Nara was seriously sleeping while the gates opened and monsters started pouring out into the world. Nara says it feels like a dream, filled with stories of hunters and portals. Cheon-ma grabs her arm, warning that they need to move. Nara asks to be put down so Cheon-ma can rest. The cultivator just smiles, saying Nara really reminds him of Tae-In. Now pay attention, because as they fly toward the school, a mysterious figure watches them from the shadows. The stranger finds the whole thing very interesting. Yunya looks out the window, noticing that they are finally arriving. Cheon-ma lands at the school and announces she has brought Nara, explaining everything that happened along the way. Nara says her heart is racing. She notices that every single person in the classroom is incredibly beautiful. Yun recognizes Nara immediately. Nara says it is a pleasure, while Layla sighs that Tae-In is getting much worse. Udrain says they can still stop this, but at this rate, taking his life might be the only option left. Nara recognizes the main character tied up. Iljun asks if she knows this pervert, but Nara says he probably forgot her. She explains they were childhood friends who met through Mano. To her, seeing Tae-In here feels like a total dream. Udrain is confused. She wonders how Nara is not being affected by the virus. Nara calls her the constellation of justice. She thinks she is safe because she is actually the owner of this dream. Yunya thinks Nara is just confused. Liara replies that she can only speak because her crush finally appeared in the dream. And yeah, I know what you are thinking, but the protagonist is about to lose his mind and go full berserker. When nobody knows how to handle him, Nara steps up. Yun is confused by what Nara is trying to do. Nara hugs Tae-In tightly. She begs her love to stop, telling him it is okay because she is right here. Udrain yells for Nara to get back because Tae-In is dangerous. Instead, Nara strikes her own eyes, crying for him to forget the pain. Her tears continue to stream down, falling directly onto the face of the protagonist. A single drop hits Tae-In on the forehead. Suddenly, the rage virus begins to purify as she holds him close. Cheon-ma is stunned by what she is seeing. Iljun feels like this scene is familiar, wondering where she saw it before. Udrain thought this was impossible. Nara begins to heal the protagonist using nothing but her pure affection for him. Tae-In finally wakes up, looking completely lost. Nara explains that this was the only way to bring him back to reality. A sincere hug, and the tears of a childhood friend. The protagonist just stares at her and asks who she is. Nara gets embarrassed and introduces herself. Tae-In finally remembers her as the girl who was always sleeping in his class. Cheon-ma notices Layla is fuming with jealousy. Udrain explains that Nara actually managed to cure the virus. Tae-In is surprised that a girl who is not even a constellation appeared and fixed everything so easily. He had heard that a childhood friend can hold a special place in someone, and her love for him must be on that level. The rest of the group is relieved he is back. The protagonist thanks her for saving his life. He tells Nara to put her shirt on since her current outfit is strange. Nara knows it is a dream but cannot look away. Then the protagonist adds her to the team, officially giving her the support position for their next mission. They need someone smart like her. She might be the key to beating the tutorial of Huja Karuna. Udrain thinks a human neutralizing a constellation power is terrifying. She might be more dangerous than the pervert. The protagonist realizes there is no other choice but to take that bastard down. Nara still thinks this is a very vivid dream. Yunya clarifies that this is real life, and Earth depends on them. Nara nods, finally starting to understand. The protagonist wants to head to the home of Huja Karuna. Udrain warns that going now would just mean another failure. Tae-In wonders what the plan is. Huja Karuna is not the kind of opponent they can just beat in a normal fight. Nara asks about the situation and wants them to explain every detail. Stick with me, we are about to find out if Nara, the smartest girl he knows, can actually save the world. Let's dive back in. Things are about to go from 0 to 100 real fast. While Tae-In breaks down the plan, a mysterious light hits Huja Karuna's home. Huja Karuna lets out a wicked laugh. He says it's annoying that the main character returned alone, and asks how their group grew by one. Tae-In thanks him, saying he's had enough of his games. Irritated, Huja Karuna lunges toward Tae-In, his temper finally reaching the breaking point. His fist flies at our hero, but Tae-In just smiles. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocks the entire domain. The girls throw up a barrier to block the shockwave. Huja Karuna freezes, shocked that his punch never even touched Tae-In's face. It's all thanks to Udarina using the protection of justice. Tae-In suggests they turn up the heat, driving Huja Karuna absolutely insane. The constellation demands to know what on earth Udarina is doing. Why would she side with these insects against a fellow constellation? But Udarina calmly explains that she's actually there to protect him. Huja Karuna calls it total nonsense and delivers another earth-shattering strike. Tae-In realizes that with the protection of justice, he can actually match the overwhelming power of a constellation. Huja Karuna just laughs. His necklace begins to glow with an eerie light as his power surges to a new level. Now, pay attention, because Tae-In realizes this is the trigger for Huja Karuna's terrifying second phase. Huja Karuna mocks the idea of a human rivaling a god. He tells Tae-In he should have come to test his strength against cosmic beings instead. With a single punch, Huja Karuna smashes through the barrier and hits the hero. Everything seems peaceful for a split second before the world explodes. Tae-In is sent flying while Udarina takes the brunt of the damage. Udarina calls out for her friend, leaving Huja Karuna to sigh. She asks how he became strong enough to shatter her authority so easily, but Huja Karuna simply replies that he didn't get any stronger at all. Calling them all insects, he asks if they'd believe him if he said he'd been holding back his pure rage. He's lived his whole life fueled by fury, losing everything because his anger ruins whatever it touches. Ironically, he hates his own rage most of all. He spent years trying to control it, eventually sealing that massive power into an artifact called the Amulet of Rage. Now, he decides it's time to let go, releasing all that built-up energy as far as he can. Udarina watches in horror as all that energy materializes into terrifying beasts. Huja Karuna orders his creatures to rip Tae-In apart. Putting his faith in everyone there, Tae-In finally activates the first stage of his ascension. He uses his replica skill, claiming there's no reason to hold back as he creates hundreds of copies of himself. Huja Karuna just laughs, telling the insect to try whatever he wants before being extinguished forever today. Udarina slices through one of the monsters, but it instantly regenerates, sprouting 2 brand new heads. She realizes this battle could go on forever, while Nara notes that their plan is already falling apart. Udarina casts a glowing spell, as Nara insists they need to pull Tae-In out of there immediately. But the Constellation of Justice says she'd actually like to do exactly that. You and I can see the guilt in her eyes as she blames herself for the lack of info. Now, she has to protect them. She charges forward to set things right, using all her strength to slash through a massive lava snake. She tries her cease glow magic, but ends up getting caught in the snake's deadly bite. Chayonma steps in, using her celestial demon seal to crush the beast. She tells them to stop calling her the Constellation of Justice. Udarina looks back in shock. We learn the enemy is a serpent born from the obsidian of wrath, powered by the constellation's energy. Lilelaya says she'll fight too. With Tae-In sharing his power and Udarina's blessing, they finally have a real fighting chance. The constellation realizes these humans have an incredible will to live. Huja Karuna was wrong. Humanity is the noblest creation of all time. Huja Karuna lands a heavy blow on Tae-In's face, screaming that he can't hide for much longer. All of Tae-In's clones are wiped out by a massive explosion. He thinks he managed to keep his main body safe. Sensing the danger, he quickly activates his exclusion ability. Huja Karuna grabs a clone by the neck, accusing Tae-In of underestimating him. He wants to know why there's no counterattack. Our hero just flashes a smile and replies that it's because he didn't want to fight him. Huja Karuna is confused, but Tae-In points out that constellations don't truly die, making this a never-ending battle. So he'll make Huja Karuna his companion. Trust me, you and I have to see what's next. You and I are heading back to school where a wild plan is born. Yudo Rainey likes it, and Lenara says it is solid. Kaon-Ma wonders if leaders can really ally with cosmic beings, but Ilgan points out Yudo Rainey is a cosmic being herself. Yoon asks Tae-In for his opinion, but his answer is a hard pass. Naturally, the girl asks why. The protagonist explains that making Huja Karuna an ally is just too weird. We already have enough characters, and adding another would make everything totally chaotic. Plus, he argues readers just want a battle, leaving the girls wondering what he is even talking about. Chan-Ma is against it too, calling this guy a monster who is trying to wipe out the entire human race. She wants his head, but Udarina breaks the news that it is not going to happen. Humans cannot kill constellations. When Layla asks if Udarina will fight, she explains that combat between constellations is strictly forbidden. However, if the plan is to actually turn Huja Karuna into an ally, then they could use his insane strength. Tae-In still resists, but Nar tells him to speak up if he has a better idea. The protagonist goes silent, desperately racking his brain for an exit. Now pay attention, because this is where the gamble begins. He asks Udarina to tell him everything about Huja Karuna. Back in the present, he wants him as an ally because he heard that Huja Karuna's star was legendary from the moment it was born. But Huja Karuna just punches Tae-In right in the face. Using Mirage Advance, the protagonist explains the star grew envious of everything around it. He remembers people calling him the brightest light in the sky, even among all the other newborn stars. Back then, everyone knew Huja Karuna would become a constellation in record time, but his nature was his curse. Huja Karuna screams, asking who Tae-In thinks he is to judge him. The other stars avoided him, calling him vulgar and a troublemaker with a toxic personality. He was alone until a voice finally called his name. Seek says he actually appreciates Huja Karuna's consistent nature. Seek appoints him as the Constellation of Wrath, expecting him to carry out his mission for cosmic order. For once, he felt recognized. He shouts that this was the first time he ever felt such a bad feeling. It irritated him, but he silently did his job as a constellation from that moment on. Huja Karuna calls him a bastard, hitting Tae-In, and calling him a pathetic insect for acting like he knows him. The protagonist tells him to let the rage go. He'll take it all. He promises to be an ally who won't break or ever leave him behind. Watch closely, Huja Karuna actually stops to think. Tae-In prays it works because he is at his limit. Huja Karuna admits no one has ever said that to him before. He calls him a pathetic insect, but he is curious to see if he will actually stick around. The protagonist thinks he is about to die, until he notices something hidden in the way the story was written. Suddenly, Huja Karuna triggers a hell explosion. Meanwhile, Layla slashes at a multi-headed snake with her dagger. She is gasping for air as the entire group watches the massive serpent loom over them. Huja Karuna says it's been ages since he let out this much rage. It feels refreshing. The protagonist says not to thank him. He is impressed the protagonist is still alive. He wonders how he survived when he had absolutely zero cards left to play. Tae-In internally jokes that you can just call this legendary protagonist plot armor. Tae-In says he is fine and tells Huja Karuna he is deep down a good man. The constellation thinks he is acting like a know-it-all. Tae-In explains that the constellation spread the rage virus to destroy humanity. But Tae-In saw the truth. People were just angry they weren't actually trying to kill each other. It wasn't a zombie apocalypse. The virus only infected others when they were attacked by those who were still sane. Finally, the constellation realizes his rage was just despair. He just wanted someone to understand his constant frustration. He tried not to burn the world, suffering alone for ages. But now, all of humanity finally understands his pain. Tae-In says that must have been incredibly hard for a constellation to endure. The constellation used to curse his own personality, hating the nature he was born with. He wondered why he was like this, feeling overwhelmed while just trying to live a normal life. He knew he could change, but deep down, he knew it would not be that easy. But now he sees there is no point in suffering alone anymore. He's been through so much, but he finally has friends who truly appreciate his worth. And there it is. Tae-In asks him to be his companion. All right, stick with me because we are jumping into the moment a god finally loses his mind completely. Tae-In takes the hit without a word, sent flying by Huja Karuna. The god screams that he is done with this, declaring the main character must die as he rains down blow after blow. Tae-In is slammed hard against the dirt. Uduranai screams his name as he crashes. Huja Karuna lunges forward for a killing blow, but his fist only shatters the earth instead of hitting Tae-In. Another constellation begs him to stop, while Layla calls out to her comrade. Huja Karuna spits out insults, unable to sustain his rage. As Lee Nara provides healing, Tae-In jokes that this feels like a classic movie scene. Uduranai tells him to just look around. Huja Karuna finally notices his surroundings, his eyes glowing as he admits the scenery is actually beautiful. He laughs, noting that everything has frozen over, while Tae-In asks him what he truly wants. Tae-In reaches out, asking the god to join him as a companion. Huja Karuna looks up at the sky and surprisingly agrees to the offer. Tae-In tells him it was the right move, admitting he never liked the way their story was playing out until now. But he was really counting on the god's help until he notices his hand passes right through him, and Karuna admits he's leaving. Uduranai screams out, completely confused by what she is seeing. He explains that a constellation naturally fades away once they lose their very reason for existing. Without a target for his eternal fury, his physical form is literally dissolving into nothing. Tae-In tries to argue, but the god just hands him a necklace, telling him he needs to take it. This is his legendary artifact, the Amulet of Rage, holding centuries of pure, condensed hatred inside it. He says this will help on the long road ahead, but Tae-In refuses to accept his departure. The god just chuckles, actually apologizing for calling the main character a lowly worm for so long. He finally made a real connection, only to vanish immediately after. Honestly, it really pisses him off. Tae-In shouts his name, but suddenly, Uduranai's blade is swinging straight for his throat. He barely dodges as she growls that she never should have allowed the god to survive. A constellation vanishing like this is a total collapse of cosmic order, making the universe view Tae-In as a glitch. He is now labeled a universal threat. The rest of the team screams for Uduranai to wait. As she prepares her final strike with a cold apology, a mysterious hand suddenly catches her blade. She recognizes him as Omosiroi, the constellation of fun. Tae-In remembers him as a powerhouse with sharp, fox-like eyes. She demands to know what he wants, but he just tells her to relax and listen up. You and I saw that coming, right? This guy is actually impressed that Tae-In managed to snatch away a god-tier artifact. More importantly, he brings a direct decree from the King of Constellations himself. Tae-In is skeptical, but the order is clear. They must perform a divine ceremony for him. Uduranai is annoyed while the others are confused. Omosiroi explains it is an invitation to join the gods. To him, it is basically just a big party for powerful friends. Tae-In isn't buying it, snapping that constellations just treat humans like ingredients and have been trying to kill them. Omosiroi tells him to chill out, claiming not every god is on board with that plan. It is a strange situation for sure, but Omosiroi asks if Tae-In is really willing to pass up such a huge power-up. Tae-In gives a hard no with a death stare. Omosiroi just smiles, saying that is exactly what he expected. He has been watching this play out for a while, and as the god of fun, he couldn't just ignore it. But he is not the only one watching. Every god in the heavens has their eyes on this human after he took down Huja Karuna. Tae-In tells him to get lost, but Omosiroi thinks it would be a waste not to see this fun continue. He will tell the king that Tae-In refused, but warns the protagonist that he better be ready for the fallout, because from this moment on, every single god, including the 12 houses of the zodiac, are now his sworn enemies. Tae-In asks for confirmation, and Omosiroi nods. He explains that among the millions of stars in the sky, there are elite stars chosen specifically by the King of Constellations himself. So, you and I are about to see if Tae-In can actually survive 12 invincible gods, who each have the power to destroy every bit of life in the universe. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where even gods pick favorites. Our hero asks if Yudo Rainey belongs to the 12 zodiac houses. She confirms her true name was Libra, before becoming the constellation of Justice. She is the 7th house. Our main character realized he is in legendary company. Omosiroi confirms that every constellation bears a unique, distinct mark on their body. He admits he watched them clashing with Huja Karuna earlier. Rainey might lose her position soon, but she says titles mean nothing to her. She only cares about cosmic order, even if she has to step down eventually. Tae-In asks if he has more to say. The fun constellation wonders what he wants. Omosiroi claims they are the same and demands some top-tier entertainment from him. Kaon-ma steps up, eager to face Omosiroi in a real battle. She unleashes her demonic energy, threatening his life. He just laughs it off. Kaon-ma uses her ultimate move. Omosiroi just mocks her entire fighting style. Now watch closely with just one tiny flick. He erases everything. Rainey teleports them away just as the entire planet explodes into dust. She asks if Cheon-ma survived. Justice's protection was her only real lifeline. She says dying to someone stronger would actually be a fun way to go. He follows them, admitting that humans are surprisingly interesting to watch. Omosiroi asks why he is so angry after being saved just a moment ago. Tae-In wonders if he could actually survive Huja Karuna's devastating power. He vows to protect the fun, keeping the other gods from ganging up on him. As Capricorn of the 10th house, he whispers a secret to our hero. He hands over a mysterious flute, having high hopes for Tae-In's future. He warns that if he wants to play again, just play the flute. He vanishes. Suddenly, they arrive back on Earth right near the school. Uni says that no matter how many times she does it, she still hates teleporting. Tae-In worries about Huja Karuna, but Rainey apologizes for her earlier actions. He tells her it is fine, but she knows he suffered through a great deal. She heads back to the sanctuary to report and ask for new instructions. Kaon-ma wants to revert her form so she can start training again immediately. Wait, let's look at this. Did they really just save the entire world? The group turns to watch as people return to their normal daily lives. The virus is gone. Tae-In has officially saved the entire world from destruction. He declares the group disbanded so everyone can return to their peaceful homes. Even with his new title, he feels like he failed to do it alone. His friends are confused when he claims he did it all by himself. Suddenly, the system screen flickers into existence, and our hero is genuinely shocked to find that even Iljin can see it clearly too. It is a massive wall of text. Tae-In refuses to read any message over 4 lines. The system warns that he is being penalized for finally killing Huja Karuna. He asks what kind of penalty is coming, wondering if they will lock him up or take his powers away forever. They are under surveillance and must attend trials for the constellations from now on. The whole group gathers around to watch. Tae asks about the status window while the others are just completely confused. They realize the system is officially counting them as his companions in this trial. And that's where we're left. Will he really be able to save them alone? Alright, you and I are watching the system roast him for being totally ridiculous. The system basically tells him to stop acting like a servant and actually read his notifications instead of skipping them. Tae wonders if systems should be this sassy, while Yudorina explains that even a constellation like her has to join other trials. Her system backs her up, but drops a ominous warning that they will definitely regret this decision. Since he actually cleared the trial of wrath, it is finally time for his well-earned reward. The main character is stunned, but his group is still pretty fed up with him as the day ends. Taya literally drops to his knees, taking back the disbandment and begging his team to stay by his side. Kaon-ma is 2 seconds away from ending his life to solve their problems, until Layla manages to calm her down. Yudorina complains that they are stuck together now, since they have no clue when the next trial might strike. Yun apologizes to everyone, but she is practically losing her mind, just wanting to make sure her parents are okay. Layla steps in to comfort her, while Lainara suggests they head to her place first to finally regroup. Now, stick with me here. Tae finally realizes he has been selfish and agrees everyone needs to check on their families. They all need a moment of peace. At the house, Yun immediately collapses into her mother's arms. Her mom thanks the gods she is safe, while our main character quietly steps back to give them space. Yoon's mother quickly calls her husband, and moments later, the father comes rushing out to see his daughter. He mentions the total chaos outside, and correctly guesses it was the main character who kept Yoon safe. He plays it cool, thinking he shouldn't take all the credit, but the father is just genuinely grateful. Tae explains the situation, and while it is hard to believe, the father calls him a hero for saving humanity. He is just incredibly relieved that his daughter has a powerful friend like our protagonist on her side. While he is lost in thought, Lynra asks if these clothes are actually okay for them to wear. Yoon is just glad to be out of the creepy pervert's gear, while Layla wonders how these modern clothes are so durable. The main character looks offended and asks if the clothes he made are really that bad. Yoon points out they at least fit perfectly, then asks Cheon-ma why she is refusing to put them on. Cheon-ma snaps that she would rather go to hell, but then Yoon's mom announces that dinner is finally ready. Tae is absolutely hyped for the food, while Iljun wonders if Yoon's mother is actually a professional chef. Layla notes how peaceful it feels here. As the wife asks her husband to set the big table, she didn't expect this many guests, but she tells everyone to eat their fill and not be shy about seconds. Everyone is shocked by the hospitality. Layla is thankful, while Cheon-ma is staring at a fork like it's an alien. The main character digs in, and Yun's father already thinks he would make a perfect son-in-law. Her mother explains that it is lasagna, which just happens to be her daughter's favorite dish. Yoon blushes and claims she didn't make it for him specifically, making the others realize she is a total tsundere. The girl admits she always dreamed of being a chef, which is why she took the cooking so seriously. Everyone shares an amazing meal, just talking and laughing like a real family for once. Iljun wonders if the food tastes better because they're together. Finally, the feast ends with everyone feeling full and happy. Tae gives his compliments to the chef, saying that was easily one of the best meals he has ever had. Now, pay attention because a mysterious voice suddenly chirps in, saying the food was actually a bit too salty. It's the constellation of cuisine, Oishikunar, and she is here to give her expert opinion on the dish. When asked why she is here, she simply says she came to give them a literal taste of the next trial. Tae panics, thinking they're about to fight in the house, and tells Yoon's father to get back. But Oishikunar isn't a fighter. She is just curious about what the beings created by constellations actually like to eat. Her trial is simple. He has to cook a dish that satisfies her godly palate using ingredients he finds himself. Tae is frustrated about another test, demanding to know why they have to jump through more hoops. Oishikunar just tells him to consider himself lucky he even has this chance. If it weren't for the constellation of fun's suggestion, humanity would have been wiped out 5 minutes ago. And trust me, you and I don't want to see what happens if he fails this cooking trial. Humanity is toast. Let's dive into this story. Yoon's mother was baffled by what just happened, while the girl complained about cooking for constellations. Meanwhile, Tae-In realized something crucial about his powers. He hadn't thought his skills worked that way, but the truth hit him like a freight train a second later. He informed Yun's father and mother that they would be leaving once again to save the world. Her father agreed, counting on Tae-In for the future of humanity and his daughter. The girl screamed at her dad for being so dramatic. Elsewhere, Yoon wanted to know what the actual plan was now. Tae-In flashed back to the time he summoned Layla, a memory that Yoon clearly shared as well. The protagonist decided he would summon someone from within his own dimension. Until that was ready, they would just travel to that specific world together. The girl was confused, so he explained he was teleporting them to a dimension filled with the best ingredients in all of space and time. In a flash, he dropped his friends into a bright, sunny land. Tae-In opened his eyes, and Cheon-ma immediately asked where he had dragged them this time. Now pay attention here, because Ilgan was stunned by the sight ahead. Tae-In simply asked what else could it be but a dragon. A massive dragon let out an earth-shaking roar. Lynra completely panicked. While the others groaned about fighting yet another monster, the beast unleashed a massive wave of fire toward the group. Tae-In had work to do. He took the dragon's fire blast point blank, blocking the heat without breaking a sweat. He complained that this was way too easy and got ready to strike back. He shattered the dragon with a flick, admitting his power control was off. Using time reversal, he left the beast completely bewildered. But Tae-In decided he would actually like to tame the beast instead. Terrified, the dragon begged for its life before Tae-In could finish it. It shifted into a human form, looking at them with sad, puppy dog eyes. It apologized and begged for mercy, though Tae-In thought its pitiful expression didn't match its desperate words at all. The dragon introduced himself as Dasos, the 14th guardian of the ancient forest. He had appeared out of nowhere looking quite dangerous. Tae-In found it all pretty anticlimactic. When Dasos asked if he was a hero, he confirmed he was the student from another world. Dasos wondered if this was the child of prophecy. Tae-In admitted that the whole hero setup was definitely in play. The dragon explained that a clan prophecy had been passed down for 50,000 years, just waiting for this specific moment to happen. In 5 days, 2 moons would finally converge. 7 strangers were supposed to arrive at the Pillar of Light, but there were only 6 people standing here now. Tae-In understood the drill: save the world, kill the Demon King. Dasos was shocked. He already knew the hidden contents of the prophecy. You saw that too, right? Tae-In ignores the prophecy and asks for the world's most delicious things instead. The dragon was totally confused. As the day ended, Tae-In summarized the 4 legendary ingredients of this continent. Awani. First is the world tree flower. It blooms once every 1,000 years and gives a person vitality for 10 years. Next are the spines of a lava sea urchin, ancient creatures born from the wars of the past. Dragon eggs, the ultimate fantasy ingredient, and the hidden leg meat of the paradise rabbit. Those were the final 2 legendary components on his list. Tae-In casually asked Dasos for his eggs. The dragon was offended, calling the request beyond rude. Tae-In wondered why he couldn't just summon them all now. He started the magic ritual to create all the ingredients instantly, but Dasos jumped in to stop him, yelling that he could not just summon those things here. Tae-In argued they were just food, but the dragon explained that the lava sea urchin lived under crushing pressure near the Demon King's castle. If summoned here, the sudden pressure difference would cause the creature to explode into 1,000,000 pieces. Tae-In sighed and asked about summoning the other rare items. Dasos explained they were rare for a reason. The world tree hadn't bloomed in 30 years. The paradise rabbit was already extinct from overhunting, and there was absolutely no way Dasos was handing over his eggs. Tae-In told him to relax. The dragon was baffled, asking why they were even looking for food if they were supposed to be heroes. Tae-In replied that they were saving the world their own way, and he didn't expect a dragon to understand. Still, he admitted he could really use the help. Seeing the look in Tae-In's eyes, Dasos realized he was serious. He agreed to help, since Tae-In was the boy of prophecy. Their first goals were set: find the world tree and the lava sea urchin. Trust me, between the elves and the lava caverns, you and I are about to see things get very messy. Let's see if they can handle the Demon King's army. With their power, it's a cakewalk. Dasos suggests tracking down those 2 ingredients first. Our hero agrees, but they're splitting up. Leonara asks which side he's taking. Tae-In's answer? Both. He's using clones. Dasos is completely caught off guard. Usually, Tae-In thinks, one group always runs into major trouble in these stories. Team Tree consists of Uni, Lyra, En, and Dasos. Meanwhile, the Demon King's team is Iljan, Chaeyeon-ma, and Yudo Renee. The World Tree Squad ventures deep into the forest. Our lead asks Dasos why he didn't head to the castle with the others instead. Dasos claims the Demon King is terrifying, but Tae-In isn't buying that fake expression. They finally arrive at Silent Hill, the city of the elves who protect the World Tree. Leonara is absolutely stunned by its beauty. Our main character notes the tree looks straight out of some epic Norse legend. Suddenly, magic arrows rain down, but Tae-In swats them away like they're nothing but flies. An elf appears, calling them sneaky humans and warning them for trespassing on sacred ground. Trust me, he won't let them leave alive. Dasos orders them to stand down. Tae-In thinks all these elves are pretty cute, but then one of them recognizes the dragon's voice. Then, the dragon reveals that this boy is the child of prophecy. The elves laugh. No way, a mere human is the chosen one. Tae-In is clearly offended. The elf drops down, insulting Tae-In's race and claiming Dasos must be losing his mind. Tae-In wonders if these two have some kind of history together. That's Beldor, the elf prince and guard captain. He's the one who calls all the shots here. They need his help, but with a personality like that. Beldor calls humans vulgar and stupid, until he spots Layla and her breathtaking beauty. He's instantly head over heels. Meanwhile, at the demon castle, Tin feels the heavy tension rising. Look at that, the Demon King is watching, and he finds this very interesting. Back in Silent Hill, the elves serve a feast. Leonara is quick to say thanks. Tae-In jokes about his second stomach for dessert, while Layla falls in love with the fruit. Beldor explains it's a crispy feather fruit, looking thrilled that she's actually enjoying it. Dasos is shocked. Seeing the hostile Beldor act this nice is a literal miracle for the history books. The prince asks what Layla's looking for, promising the elves will help the Lady of Prophecy. Tae-In tries to thank the prince by grabbing his hand, explaining their quest. Beldor snaps at him to let go. Tae-In gets annoyed, but Leonara tries to keep the peace. Bad news, the flowers are gone, and another won't bloom for 30 more years. Layla asks if there's any other way. Our hero suggests that if he messes with the tree himself, it might work. The elves draw their blades instantly. Dasos tells them to stand down, but they're already accusing the group of trying to plunder the tree. The dragon warns Tae-In to watch his mouth. This tree is a symbol of their faith. Tae-In apologizes, but explains he's desperate to save his world from being completely destroyed. Beldor doubts he's the hero, but Layla's pleading eyes make everyone reconsider the situation. The elves are totally mesmerized. Beldor coughs, suggesting they go visit the Great Elder for answers. They meet the old sage, who bluntly says they've eaten all the flowers. It bloomed 1,000 years ago. He asks how they expect to find one now. He tells them to just hang around for another 30 years to see the next bloom. Tae-In is stressed since they only have a 1-week deadline. But the old man just starts a story from his youth. He actually drank petal tea 700 years ago and can still remember that divine taste perfectly. It was a divine flavor, like a blessing from the forest itself. He wonders how fresh a real flower must be, and if humans are just jealous, you and I have to wonder, is he really that wise? Alright, you and I are about to watch Tae-In pull off something that shouldn't even be possible in this world. The elder brags that his staff is actually carved from a branch of the legendary world tree itself. He tells Tae-In to take a good look before leaving. If he's still alive in 30 years, he's welcome to visit. Beldor praises the elder for teaching them everything, while Dassos complains that it wasn't even a real achievement. The old man scoffs, asking if Tae-In has ever seen something this majestic before. Without a word, Tae-In just reaches out and snatches the staff right out of the old man's hand. Beldor and Yuns freak out over the theft, but Tae-In ignores them and activates his lightning growth skill. Suddenly, that old wooden staff begins to bloom. Dassos stands there in total shock, wondering how this is even happening. Tae-In tells them since they love the world tree so much, they might as well have another one just as big. Muriel is speechless, but Tae-In explains it only blooms once every 1,000 years, with several flowers crowning the very top. The elves go wild with joy, glorifying the hero of the prophecy for finally saving their entire race. Tae-In shrugs, skipping 6,000 years is hard, but 1,000? That's nothing special. Muriel hits the ground, calling this moment legendary. Watch this closely, we're witnessing a literal miracle here, as Tae-In secures the seed of the world tree for himself. He wonders how the Demon King's team is doing, while on the other side, Kim Il-jin is absolutely wrecking house. He absolutely destroys a demon with a brutal charge. The fourth heavenly king, Barachulanel, can't believe he's been defeated by a mere human like him. Kim Il-jin just sighs, disappointed that the Demon King's supposed gatekeeper was such a total pushover. Tae-In calls Kim Il-jin's performance charismatic, and surprisingly, the hamburger that big guy is actually happy about the compliment. The girls watch in silence until Tae-In cheers. The massive gate to the inner castle is finally swinging open. Yakum, one of the 4 heavenly kings, is stunned. Even Barachulanel, who could slay 10 dragons, was taken down this fast. Now pay attention, because Yakum claims to be the weakest, and Tae-In just laughs, saying he totally gets the demon's plight. Yakum finds it interesting, but realizes he can't actually maintain any confidence while standing in front of Tae-In. Tae-In jokes that the guy is just baring his teeth to hide his fear, while Cheon-ma prepares his powers. Tae-In tells him to stop being so casual, saying things like that is basically a spell to invite death. Furious at being ignored, Yakum charges up the dark power in his hand to strike these arrogant fools down, but Cheon-ma counters instantly with a devastating slash. Only a demonic arm remains as he tells the demon not to provoke him. Entering the castle, Tae-In notes how dark it is before asking if the next heavenly king is ready for them. Suddenly, a massive, bone-chilling sound echoes through the entire hallway. A woman in chains appears and greets her dear brother. He's made it all the way to the Demon King's castle, but she warns this is his limit. She introduces herself as the Scythe of Chains, but Cheon-ma immediately shuts her up with a blunt hit to the head. She's defeated instantly. The girl wonders what's wrong with these people. She's so bored she feels like she's actually dying. It's a full-on existential crisis. Finding these trivial life forms created by the constellations is just exhausting. Tae-In figures only cosmic entities can challenge them now, but then a chilling voice laughs, asking if that's all they've got. I know what you're thinking, but watch this. The defeated woman and the other fallen kings all rise as zombies. Valigetta reveals his true power as the strongest heavenly king, a massive zombie army that never stays down. He commands them to kneel before his overwhelming strength. But Tae-In quickly realizes this whole thing is just a trick. They keep reviving no matter how many times they're killed, so Tae-In decides to activate his simultaneous conjuration ability. Massive dimensional exile portals open above and below Valigetta and the other kings, trapping them completely. Valigetta screams that this isn't fair, but Tae-In just closes the portals, hoping they finally find some peace in there. He wonders if they can finally head down to the ocean of lava hidden beneath the underground cavern now. The rest of the group nods. That's exactly what they've been searching for this entire time. They keep pushing through the castle, but Tae-In starts to wonder if they've taken a wrong turn somewhere. He wonders if the Demon Lord has already appeared and if they should just finish him off, but Udarinai asks them to wait as a voice commands them to kneel. The group repeats the Demon Lord's command to kneel, and a confused Tae-In asks Udini how he's even in this place. The Demon Lord scoffs it's his castle, after all. He reveals his true identity as Zeta Ishiros, the constellation of war. Flashback to moments earlier while heading to the castle, Dassos decided to explain the legend of the 4 heavenly kings. Trust me, you and I are just getting started with this hero's strange and legendary journey, as he refuses to hear any spoilers. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when the dragon warns of an impossibly strong demon king. For thousands of years, heroes challenged him, but not a single one ever walked away with a win. Even with all that power, he never bothered to attack the human realm himself. Strange, right? Tae-In shrugs it off. He is used to this kind of talk and figures he will handle it somehow. Present day, our main character is on his knees, while Tae-In wonders how Rainey even knows him. She explains he is the strongest constellation around, the one who soloed the ancient wars and carved out a spot among the 12. He is literally the reason they made a law banning combat between constellations in the first place. The main character asks why a god is playing Demon King, and Zeta says it is because he just loves war. But the Constellation Council banned him from direct war, so he had to get creative. He built a planet stuck in infinite conflict just to watch his own creations slaughter each other for his personal amusement. Plus, by forcing these life forms through the brutal trials of war, now pay attention, he is actually harvesting negentropy here that is way stronger than anything else we have seen in this story. Tae-In is not having it. He stands up, ready to put an end to this monster's games once and for all. Zeta tells him to bring it. Beating Huja Karuna's test just unlocked level 2 of his ascension powers. Our hero triggers his divine verdict skill, and Udini starts panicking that this is going way too far. Dozens of angels charge at Zeta, but he just shifts his weapon into a massive shield. He blocks the hits easily, even mocking the hero by asking if this light attribute skill is really his best. It destroyed half the world, sure, but now Zeta's ready to strike back, turning his weapon into a halberd. He has been waiting for this, a showdown with the hero of prophecy. The rumors of a human capable of slaughtering a constellation were already interesting, but seeing the hero in person, that is even better. He needs to see this power, but Udini begs him to wait since the gastronomy constellation is still conducting its official test right now. Zeta claims he was not going to step in. But hey, they are the ones who broke into his castle. But since Udini mentioned the constellations, Zeta remembers a major meeting where Omozoroi gathered all the constellations to talk about their interest in the newest human awakened. They all wanted to test him and extract the highest quality negentropy possible. But look, humanity would be toast if everyone attacked at once, so we have got to make this a fair fight. They decided to go in order, starting with the first group that spoke up, but not just because of Omozoroi. Nobody dared to object to the plan, because the constellations feared Omozoroi. Zeta's turn got pushed way back to spot number 389 in the queue. Udo Rennie explains they are just here to find ingredients, and Zeta laughs, saying as the Dimension Master, he can conjure anything. They just have to ask. The hero and Udini share a quick look. The hero asks for lava sea thorns. Zeta asks how many, and Tae-In tells him to bring as many as he can. Zeta spawns dozens of thorns and asks if there is anything else they need. Tae-In asks for dragon eggs and paradise rabbits, and boom, a mountain of them appears right there. Tae-In cannot believe this cheat code, but Zeta just tells him to finish his test so they can finally fight properly. The protagonist thinks for a few moments, and then a massive grin spreads across his face as he agrees. He promises to return for a duel later, while Kim Il-yeon notes that the Demon King is surprisingly kind. Zeta tells him to stay alive, but Tae-In just says to wait for him. Soon, back in the Elven lands, our hero is fuming. He is mad that he only just found something this delicious, while the others are literally crying over these flowers. Layla's mind is blown by how good it is raw, imagining the taste once it's cooked until the other group arrives. They are shocked, with Dakaso saying these things were supposed to be extinct. Tae-In's clone asks the original how he found all these at once, clearly impressed by the haul. The clone greets Tae-In, and Dakasos cannot believe all these legendary ingredients are just sitting in one spot. He asks if Tae-In actually beat the Demon King, and Theriel says it is exactly what you would expect from the hero. And that's where we leave it. You and I just witnessed one crazy haul. Catch you next time. Alright, let's jump in as the elves hoist Tae up, calling him their legendary hero. Tae wonders if they think he already beat the Demon Lord or if he is just a future prospect. Yoon is just stressed about the cooking. Theriel steps up, confused why Yuna is staring. He knows ancient history, sure, but in the kitchen, he is totally useless. The girls turn to Yunya, but she is clueless about these weird ingredients. That's when Dasos suggests finding the top chef in Achunia. He is not entirely certain, but a royal chef should be able to whip up basically any gourmet dish imaginable. Rainey and Tae agree it is a solid plan. They need to move now, though Dasos wonders why Tae is giving him that look. The squad hitches a ride on the dragon's back while Chaeyon Ma and Udarinai decide to head out on their own. Tae points them toward the palace. Down in a nearby village, a father and son spot what looks like a massive bird soaring above. Creatures like this only exist in fairy tales, but then someone screams that this is definitely not a bird. Dasos touches down right in front of the shocked family. Tae proudly announces that they are riding a super dragon. He asks if this is really the capital of Achunia. Looking around, the place honestly feels like it belongs in another world. Dasos tells Tae he is on his own from here. He has zero interest in meeting the local king. He warns Tae to stay sharp, but catches himself before giving away spoilers. Tae thanks the dragon for all his help, hoping they cross paths again in the future. The dragon claims it was a true honor to assist the hero of prophecy, even if it was just for a short time. Then he adds they should probably never meet again. Tae asks a local for a cart, and the guy basically gives them everything. They strut through the city while Kim Il-jin loudly announces that the legendary heroes party has finally arrived. Layla complains that everyone is staring at them. But wait, pay attention here. A random thug stops the group and demands they hand over every single thing they own. Tae notes this is a classic cliché, while Lynara realizes these are just low-level bandits picking a fight with the wrong people. The bandits have no clue who they are messing with and keep demanding all their loot right now. One creep with an axe starts eyeing Layla, while another targets Cheon-ma. She just gives him a look that says he is already dead. Tae tells his team not to kill anyone. The bandit is confused until Cheon-ma makes her move. She wipes the floor with the entire gang effortlessly. She jokes about just giving up and trying the whole reincarnation thing. The townspeople are blown away that she cleared the gang with one move. They start cheering and glorifying the group, convinced he is the real hero. Tae decides they should release some of the flowers from the world tree. The praise keeps coming. Meanwhile, at the palace, a servant tells the king that a self-proclaimed hero is at the gates. The king just chews on a chicken leg and says it is ridiculous. He wants them kicked out immediately. But then the servant mentions they brought the 4 great world delicacies with them. Suddenly, King Tom changes his tune. If there is food involved, he wants them in right now. Tae enters and asks for permission to speak. Tom just laughs and asks what they could possibly want from him. You and I can clearly see this king is a villain, but Tae calmly asks to borrow the royal chef for a bit. Tom is literally drooling as he demands all 4 delicacies in exchange for the chef's time. Tae is skeptical, telling him that handing over everything like that might be a bit difficult. Tom screams that he is defying a royal order. He summons the guards and shuts down his servants' attempts to reason with him. The guards surround the king. Tom gives the order to kill Tae and take all the women as slaves. As the soldiers draw their blades, Tae realizes why this country is a mess of bandits and starving kids with a leader like this. He is done playing. He summons the celestial demon, giving her one simple rule: do not kill them. Cheon-ma flashes a terrifying smile as the soldiers charge straight at Tae. Tae just sighs, noting that these guys definitely picked the wrong king to serve. Cheon-ma lunges forward and wipes them out before they can even blink. Tom is horrified. How did she crush his elite knights? Tae apologizes for the mess. But since things went south, he decides they might as well just take the throne for themselves. He plops the crown right onto Kim Il-jin's head. Meanwhile, Tom is on the floor begging for his life. While Kim Il-jin celebrates being the new king, Tae tells him his first order of business is getting that head chef. The new king commands his servants to move fast, while Tae just admits this whole situation is totally hopeless. Wild, right? All right, you and I are diving back in with the royal servant, who introduces the legendary head chef, Sanchez Beck. Tae-In is confused by his rough look, but Tom just mocks him as a lazy son of slaves who wasted every chance. Even so, Tom exploits Sanchez's god-tier skills, while the servant reveals this pig king forced him to cook for days without a single break. Tom claims he was just ungrateful, showing he has no honor. Honestly, Tae is right, this guy is absolutely revolting. It is sickening. So Kim Il-jin sentences him to dimensional exile. Tom begs for mercy, but he is sent through the portal, screaming for his life. Layla notes how much has happened, but our main character just thinks the whole ordeal was actually pretty fun. Still, there is one thing left to handle. We have got the future of humanity right here, and he looks completely exhausted. Everyone calls out to Chef Sanchez until he finally snaps awake, apologizing and promising to be ready in 1 minute. Tae-In tries to calm him down, but Sanchez panics, shouting that it will be a disaster if His Majesty goes hungry. But the main character tells him to relax. That tyrant is gone, and his reign of terror is over. This little kid is the new king of Uchenia now. Sanchez is so dazed he thinks they are talking about food. Kim Il-jin orders Sanchez to whip up something incredible. The chef is stunned when he sees the legendary ingredients laid out. But wait, there is more. The cart is loaded with the world's 4 greatest delicacies. Now watch this, because we're about to see if he can make the best meal in the universe. He sprints to the kitchen while Yunya waves from her station. The chef wastes no time and starts dicing onions at high speed. Next up, he starts prepping a rich soup using lava sea spines. Yunya is moved to tears by a paradise rabbit leg, and together they crack a massive dragon egg to fry it up in a giant pan. The pressure is intense, but they both smile at the masterpiece they've created. Finally, they return to the royal hall to serve the feast. Sanchez declares with total confidence that this is the most delicious meal found on the entire planet. Behold, the most massive, glorious omelet ever created by man. He explains it features salted world tree flowers, paradise rabbit thighs, and dragon eggs, all served with a side of lava sea spines. Tae-In says the taste is insane, while Lynara finds it almost scary. Yunya admits she stole a taste and it was divine. It is time to dig in. The main character enters a total trance the moment the fork hits his mouth. His imagination takes over, launching him into an interdimensional journey that actually brings tears of joy to his eyes. Through his tears, he sees a vast blue sky and endless flowers. He feels a warm, comforting sensation throughout his body. He reaches for the sky as a massive goddess statue approaches. He can't stop crying from the sheer beauty of it all. She holds his hands and gives him a kiss. This transcendence is so real that Tae-In starts crying in the real world too. Lenara notes that the main character's reaction is all the proof they need. The protagonist thanks the chef, because now they finally have the fuel to challenge Aishi Kunar the right way. Sanchez is just grateful to the heroes for saving his country. He hopes they succeed in the mysterious test they mentioned. The main character conjures a bed for Sanchez before asking the team if everyone is ready to move out. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Is a simple cooking test really next? Well, think again as they head to the gourmet constellation. Tae-In says he is counting on the cook, and Una totally agrees. They teleport in, but it's so dark that the main character can't even see his own hand. Una is terrified, but he conjures a light. Oishi Kunar appears, impressed they prepared for her test so quickly. The original plan was just to eat his cooking, but she decides that would be way too easy. After a warning from Amazuroi, she changed things up. Welcome everyone to the grand gourmet cooking competition. Lenara is confused, while our main character blames Amazuroi for this mess. Oishi Kunar reminds them of the rules. They must satisfy her, but now they have to find ingredients and cook everything themselves. The core rules are the same, but now she summons a crowd of people to their stations. She has gathered the most elite chefs from every single dimension for this event. They will all present their signature dishes. If the main character's meal isn't the absolute best, she won't be satisfied. Lenara screams that changing the rules like this is totally unfair. But the protagonist is calm. You and I both know he's ready to make the most delicious meal in the entire universe. Oishi Kunar reveals she's betting on one specific chef who caught her eye. This is going to be intense. You and I are about to watch how this petty theft turns into a total nightmare as she points to Sanchez, who is balancing their stolen ingredients on his head. Tae-In demands to know what happened to their stolen ingredients. Yun asks what they can do, but Sanchez just opens his eye, finally ready to start cooking. A fish explains this was the sacred meal his clan ate on their most important days, the legendary underwater world cake. He says it tastes better served near a clay bowl. Oishi Kunare thanks him before digging in. She eats, calling it delicious, but complains the cake was not even baked correctly. For that failure, the entire Quillock clan will now be wiped into extinction. She calls the next chef forward. Kim Il-gin is horrified that she did not just eliminate them, but ended their entire race. Sanchez apologizes to the group, explaining that the constellation forbade him from sharing any of those ingredients. Tae-In yells about how absurd this is, while Lynera points out those ingredients obviously belong to them. Sanchez simply replies that he is stuck there, unable to return the kindness they showed him. He feels truly sorry for the situation. Now pay attention, because Tae-In realizes they cannot let this opponent distract them from the real threat. He screams at the constellation because if she takes all their supplies, they have absolutely nothing left to cook with. Oishi Kunari says he was clearly unprepared, so she will grant them a little more time to gather new ingredients. She promises to judge the meals once they are finished, telling him to give it his absolute best. Yuna asks about summoning items again, but Oishi Kunare warns she will only accept things they gather by hand. Summoning or copying ingredients with magic is strictly cheating. Anna calls it ridiculous. As they brainstorm, the main character explains that constellations are not affected by space-time distortions, making their time reversal ability useless. Suddenly, a strange and risky idea pops into the main character's head. You and I both know this guy has a plan. He thanks the narrator, announcing that everything will be fine. Oishi Kunare says she is looking forward to seeing their next meal. The protagonist thinks that while brute force is good sometimes, winning with risky moves is way more fun. Then, he has a question for Yodu Rainey. A chef presents heated xenon ore, but Oishi Kunare continues to extinguish every chef whose meal she hates without even showing a single bit of care. She wonders if there will be no delicious meal at all. Then she notices Sanchez is finished. She asks what he made, as it looks exactly like dragon eggs. Sanchez claims it is the most delicious omelet in the world. The constellation is amused by his massive confidence. Sanchez humbly says he could only prepare this thanks to the hard work of the heroes standing here. Oishi Kunari ignores him and takes a bite. Smiling, she admits it truly is the most delicious food in the world. It looks like they have a serious winner. The other chefs are shocked that he actually survived her judgment. She praises how he brought out the natural flavors and wonders where he found such perfect ingredients. But Sanchez surprises everyone by quitting. He cannot proceed with a clear conscience since he did not gather these himself. Oishi Kunare asks if that means he would rather be extinguished than continue the competition. Tae-In steps in, asking what she is talking about since those were their ingredients from the start. They believe they will win regardless of how good the meal was. Sanchez tries to argue, but the constellation finds this amusing. As the gourmet constellation, it makes no sense to extinguish a chef this talented. The competition ends. Out of 100 teams, only 8 pass her judgment, the true representatives of humanity. Oishi Kunare is confused, asking why they are standing there when they have not even started cooking. Tae-In says they have already finished the test conditions. The constellation calls his bluff, saying that being this afraid of extinction is honestly just disappointing to see. Tae-In pushes back, asking if she is really the gourmet constellation she claims to be. She is caught off guard. Tae-In wants to know how prepared she is for a delicious meal. She declares that gourmet food is her entire reason for living, and for his doubt, she will teach him a harsh lesson. She threatens to hunt down all of humanity, cooking and eating them until their entire species is extinct. Yodu Rainey wonders what this pervert is thinking, while Tae-In shouts that she has to follow one condition before tasting their legendary meal. She must give up being a constellation and become human. Oishi Kunare is stunned, asking what he is even talking about. And that is where we leave it. Tae-In confirms with Yodu Rainey that constellations can cast aside their status. Let us dive into a story where immortals have no clue what real eating even means. To truly taste their meal, she would have to shed her divine status and become human. That is the authentic flavor of life. The girls are stunned, while Oishi Kunare just bursts out laughing. She is totally down to play along with his little game. He keeps insisting that she does not understand the true essence of flavor. She agrees to turn human temporarily, but the test rules stay firm. If he tries to attack her in this weak state, she will end the trial immediately for interference. With the constellation of justice watching over them, she will ensure the judgment is fair. Oishi Kunare begins to glow as she laughs, while Tae-In says it is finally his turn. Her transformation finishes, leaving her in the form of a fragile human, but she is still as arrogant as ever. Tae-In just smirks, telling her she is already done for, and activates his legendary time reversal ability. Temporal magic usually fails on gods, but now that she is human, it works perfectly. Pay attention, because we are heading back in time. Oishi Kunare is totally lost and asks where they are. Tae-In explains he can jump to any point in history. Suddenly, Dasos descends in his massive dragon form. Lenara cannot believe they have actually managed to travel back to the past. Tae-In claims his title as the Hero of Prophecy, ordering Dasos to shift into a human. Oishi Kunare is terrified she is about to die. Yodu Rainey tells her to relax because that is not going to happen. Tae-In promises to protect her, but she has to confirm she will do anything for a world-class meal. Oishi Kunare agrees without hesitation. As the goddess of gastronomy, she has seen it all, but she is curious to see what human cooking can really do. Tae-In tells her to just trust the process, even if she is going to regret it very soon. Soon, Oishi Kunare is covered in dirt and rolling on the ground, wondering how her life came to this. Dasos whistles like a drill sergeant while Tae-In tells her to fix her attitude. Yunya jokes that she has not even done military service. The goddess is confused. What does manual labor have to do with cooking? She demands to know why she is there. Tae-In asks if she is really talking back to her superior. Oishi Kunare immediately regrets every single life choice. She spends the entire day grinding through intense exercises. When she finally collapses, Tae-In asks if she is finally done with her workout. Trust me, I would be scared. She says if the food is bad, he is finished. But Tae-In is not finished yet. He triggers the time reversal spell again, dragging her right back into the madness. Next, she is forced to climb the world tree with nothing but a rope. Tae-In yells at her to grab as many mystical flowers as possible. She asks why it has to be her. Simple. If she slips and falls, she is literally toast. Yodu Rainey tells her to stay strong, promising that they will catch her if she actually plummets. Tae-In tells her to hold on tight, and while the others think this might be too much, some are actually enjoying the show. This will take all day. After hours of struggling, she finally snatches a flower. She has heard legends that these things taste like absolute heaven. She goes to take a bite, but Tae-In swiped it instantly, saying these are strictly for the recipe. Oishi Kunare threatens to kill him, but Yodu Rainey reminds her that breaking the trial rules is strictly forbidden. Now it is time to hit the kitchen. Meanwhile, over at the Demon King Castle, Zeta is losing it. He thinks seeing the goddess in a human body is the funniest thing ever. Oishi Kunare is shocked the god of war is there, but Tae-In tells her to keep it cool. She asks what is going on. Tae-In admits the ingredients they borrowed actually belong to Zeta. They need to finish the test first, then deal with that battle-hungry idiot later. Oishi Kunare agrees and demands that the ingredients be delivered right now. Zeta summons a pile of rabbits, eggs, and rare plants. With everything gathered, Tae-In says it is finally time to cook. Oishi Kunare is ready. It is time to put an end to this crazy otherworld arc. Suddenly, everyone is teleported away. Zeta is just bored, but back at the royal castle, someone is screaming in terror. Tae-In trashes the guards, annoyed that he has to deal with the same pathetic loser twice in one day. The guard begs for mercy, but the MC just hits him with dimensional exile and blasts him away again. He leaves the cleanup to Yunya, while Sanchez is just vibing in his music room, completely oblivious. She tries to wake him up, warning him that the kitchen is officially under her control for now. In the royal chamber, a starving Oishikunari is demanding her food. Yunya finally walks in and announces that everything is ready, and that is where we leave it. She will judge this meal, but she will dress appropriately first. You and I are about to see if this high-stakes cooking gamble actually pays off for Yunya and the group. Oishi-Kunar asks what the deal is with this meal, while Yunya explains it is the special dish she prepared. She lifts the lid to reveal the most incredible lasagna ever made. Every ingredient was tested to make it the absolute best. But right now, Oishi-Kunar is not listening. For the first time ever, she is feeling a raw, primal surge of hunger. She realizes the perfect meal is simply the one that satisfies her, causing a massive, unprecedented shift in the universal order. Oishi-Kunar actually starts crying as she tastes the food. Sanchez watches from the sidelines and falls completely in love. Meanwhile, Tae-In is dying to know how it actually tastes. Oishi-Kunar admits she is full of regret. This is the first time the constellation of gastronomy has ever felt this way. It used the same ingredients as the previous omelet, but now, every single cell in her body is celebrating the flavor. It was a real meal she could not deny. Yunya asks about the test, and Oishi-Kunar confirms they officially passed. The whole group starts celebrating their victory. Yunya wonders if the main character knew this would happen from the very beginning. Tae-In denies it, admitting the whole plan was just a gamble. Watch closely here because he thinks developing the others is more fun, so he steered the flow to this outcome. Yunya asks what he means, but he just says this was only possible because of her incredible cooking back home. Her skills gave him the confidence to believe in her. Yunya blushes, telling him he better be grateful for her help. The system announces he has cleared the test and is finally unlocking the third stage of his divine ascension. Kim Il-jin is skeptical, though, since he still lost his previous fights even after using that same power. The system tells him to relax while the protagonist begs for the next level. Nothing matters more than getting stronger now. Fighting on equal ground with a constellation might seem impossible, but he is done being a puppet for their games. Yunya notices Oishi-Kunar licked the plate clean, and the constellation admits she simply could not leave a single bite. Yunya asks if she is still hungry, and the constellation replies that she feels like she could actually eat even more. Sanchez steps in and asks for permission to make her a dessert. He has never seen anyone enjoy food like that. As a professional chef, he is now completely dedicated to cooking something special just for her. Oishi-Kunar accepts with total certainty, leaving the main character wondering what on earth these two are even doing now. Yodu Reni notes how hard she worked and asks if she is going to report back to the King of Constellations. Oishi-Kunar looks at Sanchez and blushes. She says no, as she has decided to stay in this world as a human. Yodu Reni is shocked. The test is over, so she should be returning to her divine role as the constellation of gastronomy. Oishi-Kunar explains she is done giving up on worlds and needs to truly rethink what cooking actually means to her. The constellation of justice warns this will break the balance of the universe. But her mind is made up. She hands Yunya her personal artifact, the immaculate cutlery, telling her to take it. Yunya asks if it is really okay to accept this. Oishi-Kunar says to take it as thanks for the food. Yunya wonders how to even use it, while the protagonist admits he has never seen an artifact quite like this before. Yodu Reni worries about the fallout. With two major constellations gone, she wonders how much this human will change the universe. Yunya suggests they share it since she has no idea how it works, but the artifact has other plans. Cheon-Ma takes the fork, while Layla grabs the knife. That leaves Yunya with the golden spoon. Tae-In tells her to keep it since she needs to get much stronger. Kim Il-jin takes off his crown and tells Oishi-Kunar she should become the queen if she is staying here. Earlier, she was so hungry she almost ate him, but she held back, and he respects her for that restraint. She replies that as the constellation of gastronomy, she does not just eat anything, but she thanks him for the offer. Kim Il-jin wonders what that was as his pride is hurt. The constellation of culinary arts says she will learn a lot by becoming a leader in the dimension of war. The protagonist notes she knows nothing about the constellation of war yet. Anna asks what is waiting for them next. Tae-In says the next test is starting. After zombies and interdimensional cooking, they have no idea what is coming. Linara says the genre keeps shifting. You and I are not ready for what is next. You and I are about to see our protagonist question how this author keeps switching genres in the middle of a single story. Yodu Reni promises the tests are finally over and the Council of Constellations is handled so they can all return to their lives. Yun is relieved, thinking they are safe from weird trials, until a Mozoroi suddenly appears and tells them it is not that simple. Everyone turns around as he says hello. He warns them that another constellation is already waiting to snatch them up immediately. Tae-In is skeptical, but a Mozoroi explains this next being is one of the Zodiacs, and they need to move right now. An interdimensional portal triggers, whisking our heroes away while leaving Oishikunari and Sanchez standing there in total shock. Suddenly, in this new dimension, it begins to pour. Tae-In wonders where they are, Yunya complains about the rain, and our main character curses Amosuroi for dumping them here. He checks if everyone is okay, but the girls are mostly annoyed that they are completely soaked through. Tae-In senses a bad vibe and wonders which constellation would actually choose a dump like this for a lair. Cheon-ma picks up a murderous intent from the shadows, unlike anything they have ever felt from previous constellations. The tension rises as a voice from the depths tells them this place is on a whole different level. To begin the test, she rises from the dark waters and warns them that survival is simply impossible. Yodu Renee identifies her as the constellation of despair while our main character shouts in disbelief. Stick with me here because the girls beg for mercy, but the constellation of despair has zero chill. She coldly repeats that it is impossible, making it clear she has no intention of changing her mind. The council wants him pushed to the absolute edge so he can grow, even if it means going through hell. She senses a massive hidden power within him, a quality she has never seen, and she is hungry to consume it all. She begins dragging our main character down into the swamp. Layla panics as the mud rises, and Yoon realizes the swamp is already up to her thighs. The constellation of despair declares they must lose all hope and die in her trial, as that is her only condition. Tae-In refuses to play along as a massive explosion rocks the swamp. He demands to know why these constellations would create humans just to turn around and hunt them down like they are nothing more than toys. He is done with her and activates Ascension Stage 3. He jokes that her design is decent enough to be an ally, but forget that. I know you saw this coming. But she blocks his magic with a single palm. She warns him that it is impossible to use such dangerous power inside of her own domain. The main character realizes her speed and strength are the true combat power of the 12 houses. This power is leagues above what Tae-In faced before. She is not testing him. She is genuinely trying to end his life. But Tae-In has a hidden ace. He activates the Wrath artifact, proving how much he has leveled up since last time. A berserker punch slams directly into the constellation's guard. She is blasted back by a stellar explosion as Tae-In masters the power of the Amulet of Wrath in Stage 3. The constellation of despair gasps that this is impossible. She wonders how a human can hold such power, while Tae-In realizes he finally has what it takes to win. He charges at her again, but Yodu Renee suddenly steps in and tells him to stop. The main character tells her to move, joking that if she stays this annoying, his popularity with the fans will tank. Yodu Renee insists she is protecting humanity, explaining that no matter what they do, the council is dead set on their extinction. Tae-In lowers his guard, and the constellation of despair stands back up, repeating her favorite word. Humanity is doomed to die. That is the fate the constellation of despair has already chosen. Yunya points out the massive waves rising up behind the goddess of despair. The goddess tells them to drown in her swamp, while experiencing the most agonizing mental torture imaginable. Tae-In sees his friends in trouble and tries to cast a high-rank defensive barrier skill. Murimu Remuru stops him and says to just give up. Yodu Renee tells everyone to stay calm and listen. This goddess's power traps you in your own suffering. The deeper you sink, the worse the illusions of your trauma become. And trust me, they are heading for pure agony. Alright, stick with me. We're diving into a story where even in despair, survival means finding a way back. The constellation claimed that returning was totally impossible, but Yodu Renee argued back. She had witnessed humans achieve the unthinkable, shattering the universe's order through sheer wisdom and an unbreakable willpower that absolutely defied logic. They were far too strong to simply lose their lives within her test. Everything would be fine as long as they never let themselves break. Suddenly, the swamp swallows the group. Tae-In tries to resist, but Yodu Renee appears, resting her hands on his shoulders. She warns him to surrender to the swamp and face his own despair. Even though she's unaffected, this is a journey he has to take alone. Looking back through the chaos, Tae-In makes a final choice. He leaves his friends in Yodu Rene's care. She promises to keep their physical bodies safe from any harm. Tae-In deactivates his defenses and sinks into the dark swamp. A mysterious voice calls out, making him wonder who's there. Kim Il-jin shouts at him to go buy bread, then slams Tae-In's face into a table for oversleeping like a loser. Tae-In wakes up in total agony, wondering where the hell he actually is. Kim Il-jin keeps barking orders, telling the idiot to get up and move his ass right now. Now watch closely, it looks like a classroom, but he hasn't traveled back in time. Kim Il-jin threatens to give him a real education. Is this the ultimate despair Tae-In has to face? As the bullying restarts, memories of his past torment flood back. Panicking and needing answers, Tae-In desperately reaches out and grabs Kim Il-jin's hand. He tells him to hurry up, wondering if he's still that god-tier SSS rank hero inside. Music kicks in as Tae-In gets brutally jumped on the rooftop. He can't believe this is happening. Where is the grand hero's entrance? He expected a satisfying moment where he'd crush these delinquents with his SSS rank powers. But reality hits different. Kim Il-jin keeps complaining while Tae-In takes the hits. He tries to activate his rank skills, but absolutely nothing happens. Kim calls him a pathetic loser. Tae-In realizes even his weakest skills are completely locked away. No amulet of fury, no ascension, he's in deep trouble. Then, a heavy blow lands right in his gut. Despair is the only thing left. Kim insults him for not even cleaning shoes right. Kim Il-jin threatens his life if he doesn't bring what he asked for before the break ends. Tae-In should be able to snap his fingers and destroy planets. This feels like a dream, yet the pain is too real. Are the others suffering like this too? Kim Il-jin was never this much of a monster before. Tae-In drags himself out of the filth, feeling like he's drowning in a living hell. But then, he turns around. Those battle instincts from saving the world? They're still buried inside him. He throws a punch, but it's useless. Kim Il-jin barely feels it before grabbing him by the throat. You and I both saw that coming, right? Our hero is getting beaten into an unrecognizable mess. With his status window gone and skills locked, he's defenseless. If he wants to stop the despair, he has to learn to fight for real. Doing it alone isn't an option. He needs a master to show him the way. He remembers Jo-yoon, a girl with insane natural talent. Even without powers, her physical abilities could be the key. He decides to find her classroom during the next break. His nose is bleeding everywhere, and he's terrified of Yoon seeing him like this. Then, he spots Kim Il-jin harassing her. Kim claims he'll pay for everything, but Yoon isn't having it. She tells him to get lost and leave her alone. The bully grabs her shoulder, warning her not to play hard to get with him. She shoves him back, but the punk just laughs. He thinks he can humiliate her right there in the hallway. Tae-In can't just watch. He grabs Kim Il-jin from behind and tells him to walk away. Tae-In steps up, claiming the girl is with him. Kim just laughs, asking if moss has grown in his brain. The hero's body moves on instinct. He knows he has to protect her, no matter what. Kim Il-jin grabs his arm. Trust me, you're not ready for how brutal this gets. Today, Tae-In is going to hell. Yoon screams for them to stop, but Kim executes a perfect, brutal suplex. People even commented that Kim Il-jin looks like a pro fighter from the UFC. Alright, you and I are starting a story where money buys everything, as Yunya asks if this brat wants jail, while he laughs about his dad protection. Our main character is trapped in a spiral of absolute despair, feeling like he is powerless to ever escape this nightmare on his own. Tae-In just wants peace, but then Yunya steps in, catching Il-jin fist mid-air and leaving the bully completely stunned. She stares him down, asking if he is actually planning to kill Tae-In, and warns him to back off before things get ugly. The delinquent sneers, accusing Yunya of having some secret thing with this loser, but she is not having it and shuts down his nonsense. Losing his cool, Il-jin demands to know their deal and grabs her hand, but she shoots him a look of pure ice. In one smooth motion, she twists his arm and slams him to the ground before unleashing a brutal barrage of punches directly to his face. Tae-In watches in total awe as she dismantles the bully, thinking her strength is just completely incredible. She walks over, calling him a pervert, but asks if his neck is okay after taking such a heavy hit. He sits up, insisting he is fine, but Yunya wonders why he even interfered when she clearly had the situation under control. He is just curious if she is a pro fighter, and she explains that she grew up obsessed with watching Special Forces videos. That obsession turned into serious training to become a soldier herself. Despite his claims, a blow to the neck is always dangerous, so she tells him to get up so they can head to the infirmary together. He reaches out his hand for a little help up. Now watch this part. Just as they are about to touch, Il-jin looms behind her like a ghost, demanding to know what their relationship is. He sneers, asking if she thought her gender made her untouchable, but Yunya does not hesitate to tell him he is wrong. Our main character hopes that even in this messed up world, a guy like Il-jin would not actually strike a girl like her. Il-jin lunges in for a punch, and just as Yunya prepares her counter, Lee Nara screams that a teacher is headed their way. He freezes, cursing his luck, and promises that the pervert is going to catch a living hell once school is over. After spitting on Tae-In hair, he walks off, leaving Yunya to call him the disgusting and crazy bastard that he is. She asks why that guy is so obsessed, but Tae-In just brushes it off, saying he is fine. You and I both know this is just a simulation. But for Tae-In, having someone actually take his side feels incredibly real. She helps him up while Nara watches from the shadows, and soon they find the infirmary completely empty and quiet. Yunya notes that he walked there just fine on his own, and his eyes seem a lot sharper than before. She decides to stick around until the nurse returns, scrolling on her phone while he lies back on the medical cot. When he asks why she is still lingering, she just shrugs, saying it would be bad if he suddenly passed out. Plus, she is just not in the mood for class, an honest answer that Tae-In finds surprisingly cute. He tries to ask more about her fighting skills, but she shuts him down, saying she is not there for small talk. He thanks her anyway and offers up an interesting story, explaining that he and Il-jin have actually known each other since kindergarten, since his father works for Il-jin family. Back when they were kids, they were actually just normal friends. Eventually, he started to realize just how different their worlds really were. One day, one of Iljin's friends shoved him, and when he turned around in anger, he came face to face with his old pal. But Iljin just looked away, creating a cold distance between them that would never be closed again. Suddenly, in Iljin's eyes, he was no longer a friend, just some pathetic loser he happened to know as a kid. The bullying spiraled until it reached this breaking point, but it was not always this nightmare for them. Yunya shuts him down, calling him a total idiot for just standing there and letting all of this happen. He argues that while people like her are naturally strong, there are others like him who are just born helpless. She calls him a hopeless moron, insisting he could change his life if he tried, but he claims she just does not understand his situation. With his father's career at stake, there are just some things he is truly unable to do. She calls him a total idiot, asking if his father would really blame him for fighting back after seeing what that piece of trash did to him. So, Tae-In suggests that she finally help him out with this. She is curious, and he says he will give her way a shot, as long as she teaches him how to fight like her. She stares him down, then a smile crosses her face. She asks if he is truly ready for this, but as her eyes suddenly turn a chilling shade of blue, a massive wave of absolute despair washes over him. And trust me, things are about to get dark, as a swamp swallows him whole while she refuses to play nice. Alright, stick with me because our hero realizes he can't just give up without a fight. He bursts from the water, confessing he likes her. A shocked Yuna asks him to repeat that. Tae-In doubles down on his confession. He knows this isn't reality, but if he can convince her, he might finally pull her out of this deep despair. But Yuna just snaps. First it was Kim Il-jin, and now this pervert everyone is acting like a total lunatic today. She feels like she should have just taken the hits. Meanwhile, the swamp keeps dragging Tae-In down, and he knows he is running out of time. Suddenly, he screams about her lasagna, the one meal she makes better than anyone else in the world. Yuna freezes, asking how he knows that. Tae-In explains that while she trained to be a soldier, her real dreams were different. She actually wanted to be a baseball player and a professional chef. She asks if he's some insane stalker, but he denies it. He screams that he's actually her boyfriend from the future, reaching a point where he just doesn't care anymore. Still in despair, Yuna just turns to leave. Tae-In thinks it is all over, realizing he didn't know as much as he thought. But then she grabs his hand and pulls him out. Yuna demands a real explanation. It is true she wanted to be a chef and an athlete when she was a kid, but how does he know? She warns him not to give her any of that time travel nonsense. Tae-In just stares down at where their hands are touching. Yuna remembers his confession and suddenly slaps him. She screams, asking why this pervert is holding her hand. Tae-In argues that she grabbed him first. Right then, a nurse arrives and asks what the two of them are doing. Outside the school, Yuna summarizes his crazy story. He is claiming to be her boyfriend from the future, and that they were allies fighting interdimensional aliens. Apparently, one of the strongest monsters out there trapped him in a virtual world of torment. She concludes that this crazy guy belongs in a mental hospital. Tae-In insists it is all true, though hearing it out loud, even he has to admit it sounds completely ridiculous. It seems Yuna couldn't actually see the swamp of despair he was trapped in, which honestly worked out in his favor. Regardless, Yuna is done talking. She just wants to learn how to fight, having seen the murderous intent in Kim Il-jin's eyes earlier today. She questions why she is even wasting her precious time with a total nutcase like him. Tae-In promises everything he said was the truth except for that whole coming from the future part. There's no other way he could have known her childhood dreams of being an athlete and a chef. He swears not to lie again, and Yuna starts to believe him. Now pay attention, Tae-In points out Kim Il-jin was actually trying to hurt her. He refuses to let that guy mess with her ever again. Hearing that, Yuna can't help but blush. Yuna warns him that he is simply no match for Kim Il-jin. The weight difference is massive, and that bully definitely has real martial arts training. Kim Il-jin definitely thinks a shrimp like Tae-In couldn't possibly get strong enough to beat him in just a few hours. Tae-In argues he has to try. After all, she was the one who said hard work could change things. Yuna wonders if she actually said that, but Tae-In remembers the exact moment she did. She sighs and gives in, though she still doesn't believe he can win a fair fight. Suddenly, Yuna steps up and punches him right in the face. As Tae-In hits the dirt, she explains he needs to end the fight before it even starts, by creating an opening and striking a vital spot. They keep practicing until their classes finally end. Let's pause here. Tae-In gets up, still wondering how she managed to hit him like that. He realizes it was a surprise elbow strike, and Yuna tells him that is exactly the point. He only got hit because he didn't expect it. If he had seen it coming, he would have tried to dodge. It'll be the same with Kim Il-jin. That bully only cares about attacking and won't expect a counter. Tae-In needs to act submissive until he sees the perfect opening. Back in the classroom, the teacher tells everyone to focus on their groups and start paying attention. Tae-In feels like Yuna's training is even more brutal than those constellation tests. He's completely drained, right up until Kim Il-jin calls him out. Kim Il-jin tells Tae-In to follow him, while our hero wonders why the bully's art style is suddenly changing. Tae-In stands up and agrees to follow, silently deciding to stick to the plan Yuna made for him. Kim Il-jin calls him a perverted brat, warning that anything that happens next will be Tae-In's own fault. He tells him not to come crying later, but then, Tae-In kicks him right in the vitals before the bully even gets his shirt off. Trust me, we love watching that bully cry. Alright, let's watch this underdog pull off the ultimate counter. Tae finally found his opening, striking the vital spot just like Yuna taught him. Now that bully is thrashing on the ground in pure agony. Kim Il-jin snarls that Tae is a dead man for pulling a stunt like that. Tae just sighs, wondering if it's really cowardly to fight back when you've never even had a formal lesson. Yuna snaps at him, asking if he's an idiot for letting a childhood friend beat him half to death. To her, the real coward is the one who uses a massive weight difference to torment and bully someone weaker. That realization hits Tae like a truck as he snaps back to the present, ignoring Kim Il-jin's screams. The bully keeps screaming that he's going to end him. Tae doesn't think violence is ever truly justified, but he won't make excuses for himself either. No matter how vivid it feels, this is nothing but a virtual space. And Kim Il-jin? He's just a fake character designed to trigger a specific emotional response from him. Now, pay attention, because Tae isn't backing down. He lands a solid punch right in the bully's face. From the sidelines, Yuna can't believe her eyes. There's no way Tae actually won, right? Tae roars at the guy, telling him to never even think about messing with him or Yuna ever again. Hearing those words makes the girl blush instantly, and she quickly hides herself again. Yuna thinks he's finally conquered his despair, but then Kim Il-jin grabs Tae's hand and twists his wrist with a nasty move. She calls the bully an idiot while he threatens to kill Tae, but a sudden fist to his face shuts him up. Our protagonist actually fights back with ease. Yuna realizes Kim Il-jin is a total moron for trying to attack from such a submissive, losing position. Tae realizes this is exactly what Yuna taught him during their session earlier, remembering when she pinned him down. Back then, he complained she was going way too far, but she just kept punching him in the face. Every time he tried to speak, she would land another heavy hit to keep him silent. She told him to stop talking and focus on escaping so he could actually survive. To take the dominant spot, he had to plant his feet firmly and pull his body upward. After another hit, she warned him that failing to escape means certain defeat. If he ever gets caught like this in the real world, it's game over 9 times out of 10. But on the flip side, if he secures the position, the win is his. Kim Il-jin doesn't understand the first thing about knockouts or submissions. She promised that if he could hold the position, she'd show him something truly useful for the finish. You and I can see he's following her instructions perfectly. Keep the center of gravity low, lock the arms, and finish the fight properly. He executes the move perfectly, telling the bully one last time that he picked the wrong person to target. The bully is out cold, and the dark aura begins to fade as Yuna appears, surprised he actually finished him. Not bad at all. She even wonders if he has some kind of hidden natural talent for combat. Tae laughs it off, giving her all the credit for being a great teacher, which just makes her call him an idiot. That's the first time he's ever seen her give a genuine smile like that. Still, he can't help but wonder how a high school girl became such a terrifyingly good fighter. Yuna explains it's because her father knows some special forces veterans who handled her intense training. He realizes she's basically a legendary military-grade student. She reveals she's been trained in boxing, taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, and karate, covering nearly every major martial art. Tae thinks that since the bully is down, this whole despair test should finally be over. But he's still stuck here. Suddenly, a man covered in tattoos walks up, demanding to know what happened to Kim Il-jin. They turn around to face a whole group of delinquents who can't believe a loser actually won a fight. Yuna asks who they are, and Tae identifies them as the Barum Group, a notorious local gang. First, there's Park Kang-gu, known as the Gale for his huge head, followed by Bang Yuki, the burping whirlwind. Then there's the massive Typhoon, Got Tae Wong, and Zeroth the Storm, a failed trainee idol who still insists on using that stage name. Yuna thinks it's all incredibly childish, but Tae warns her that these guys are seriously dangerous criminals. Kim Il-jin's father leads the Sunpong Group, a company that actually started out as a violent street gang. These second-generation members formed their own crew around Kim Il-jin, causing absolute chaos wherever they go. Zeroth gets offended, asking if they look like common thugs or brainless gangsters to them. Yuki questions his choice of words, while Zeroth claims they're just a group of good friends. Stay with me, this is where it gets tense. Zeroth grabs Tae's shoulder, asking if he's the one responsible for leaving Kim Il-jin in that state. Stick with me because we're about to see how one vivid memory of his father's safety keeps our main character from fighting back. Il-jun mocked him, claiming they weren't really friends, while Tae-in struggled with a reality he knew was fake, but felt all too real. Yuna finally stepped in, telling him to knock it off right now. The idol sneered, asking if she was the girlfriend, but Tae-in felt something shift, an intense pressure, suddenly cutting through the entire room. With a look of pure coldness, Yuna asked what the hell that bastard had just muttered to her. Flashback to Tae-In laughing over a webtoon. Suddenly, Yuna's friend calls out, telling her to look over because her supposed boyfriend is walking by. Yuna gets instantly pissed, telling her friend to stop talking like that, because it's not funny, not even as a joke. Now, Il-jun was making that exact same mistake again. He offered a fake apology for the so-called misunderstanding he caused. But wait, did that actually mean she was single right now? Tai Wong called him a total womanizer, and Yuki added that he actually got kicked out of his agency for that exact reason. Yuna told him to get lost while she was still being nice, but Il-jun pushed his luck. She immediately dropped into a combat stance. Tae-In cut in, explaining that Il-jun was the one who threw the first punch, and that's how the fight ended. Watch this. Il-jun didn't waste a second before slamming a fist into our protagonist's face. It was too fast. Yuna couldn't even move to block it. Il-jun just warned him that he should have stayed down before things got ugly. Yuna steps up to fight, and the idol asks who she thinks she is, claiming he doesn't hit girls anyway. She tells him to leave, but Il-jun just smirks. His friends? They don't have those rules. All three goons surround her, ready to attack. Tae-In forces himself forward, calling out to Yuna. He tells her she needs to get out of there, right now. Yuna is confused, asking what he means. But Tae-In just screams at her to leave while she still can. She asks if he's being cocky just because he learned to fight. But Tae-In hits her with the ultimate lie. He tells her she's not even his friend. Those words cut deep. Stunned and furious, Yuna calls him a pathetic loser and storms off into the night. Tae-In watches her go, knowing this was the only way to protect her. Sure, she could probably wreck them all. But then the Sunpong group would come for her. This was his fight, and a burden he had to carry alone. Il-jun mocks him, asking if the lovers' quarrel is over. Tae-In just raises his guard and tells the bastards to give it their best shot. The idol doesn't hesitate. A brutal knee strike connects, knocking Tae-In out cold. Everything goes black from that moment on. He remembers nothing until he wakes up in a swamp of despair. Strangely enough, it actually feels comfortable to just sink into it. He wonders if sinking like this would finally end the pain. He closes his eyes, memories of his friends flashing through his mind. But then he refuses. He realizes he's not the only one suffering. Cursing his weakness, he begs the universe for just one more chance to push past his limits. A light breaks through. He wakes up to his father asking if he's finally back with us. Tae-In winces at the brightness and turns his head. His father asks how he could possibly forget his own dad. Tae-In sits up fast, finally recognizing the face. He lets out a terrified scream, making his father wonder if he's actually developed amnesia from the beating. Tae-In asks if that's really the first thing to say to his injured son. His dad just shrugs, "Hey, at least you're alive." That's a relief. You and I both know the guilt of seeing your parents worry, and Tae-In's mom is outside crying her eyes out right now. Seriously, he keeps getting trashed and scaring his parents half to death. Tae-In snaps back that it's not like he enjoys being a punching bag. His dad asks if he knows who did this. Tae-In admits it wasn't just one person, it was an entire group that jumped him. His father goes quiet, thinking. He tries to reassure him that everything will be fine, using his usual calm, comforting words. He says violence never solves anything. Back in his day, kids grew up fighting in the streets, but he claims the world has changed since then. Tae-In realizes his dad has worked so hard to hide his past. The old man says it's his duty to leave his son a peaceful world. Tae-In asks what he's even talking about. His father tells him to just focus on recovering and getting back to his studies. He promises that no matter what, he will always have his son's side. It's weird, but Tae-In feels his despair vanishing just by talking to his dad. Like everything might actually be okay. He tells his dad to make sure mom stops worrying. But as he walks out, the father thinks to himself his son has no idea who he really is. Suddenly, the father's phone starts ringing. He wonders why Director Bong is calling him now. He answers, asking what the problem is. The director is taken aback by his cold, sharp tone. And trust me, you and I are about to see the real monster come out, because this simple dad is actually the legendary leader of the Sunpong group. As darkness settled over the city, Yuki mocked him for losing to a loser, while Il-jun screamed that he could not remember a single thing about the fight. Stick with me, because you and I are about to watch how a simple rumor destroys the reputation of a young master. Kang-woo swore they would keep trashing the kid until a mysterious man appeared, telling them they were the guilty ones. The entire group turned around as Kang-woo questioned the old man, until Il-jun's father called and screamed that his son was a bastard. He demanded to know why his son was out there acting like a complete maniac. Il-jun questioned what his father meant, but he was told to shut up and hide because the father of the kid he bullied was a living legend. This man was a titan of South Korea's corporate world, and it all started with the famous success story of Chairman Kim. Long ago, he was just a low-level gangster who spent his nights in small back alley bars. Now pay attention here, because the true legend of Sunpong was actually a dark tale written by a father trying to hide his secret life. He single-handedly crushed every local crime organization, taking total control of the market through absolute power. Once the gangsters were defeated, he forced them to work for his new business empire. With a natural gift for business, he expanded his reach until the company became an unstoppable giant. Bars became restaurants, and his underworld life evolved into an entertainment company before finally turning into heavy industry. He rode the wave of South Korea's rapid growth and pushed his massive company to the very top. That was the kind of man Tae's father really was. He refused the chairman's seat on one condition: his wife and son would live a normal life far away from the luxury of the elite. No violence, just a quiet life. Once that was promised, he walked away from everything in a deal that seemed completely insane. To this man, family was his entire world. He chose a simple life, far from power and fame. When young Tae asked what his dad did for a living, he simply told him he was an ordinary office worker. Iljun's father realized his son had broken the man's ultimate taboo and needed to run for his life immediately. Kangoo asked if the old man knew them, and Tae-In replied that he knew them perfectly. He was the eldest son of Yong-hun. Tae-In tossed him aside with one hand. Iljun's father kept calling his son, but there was no answer from the shocked boy. I know what you are thinking, and yeah, Tae-In knows violence is not always the answer. But these guys are the exception. Yuki charged at Tae-In while cursing him, but the main character's father was ready. He easily landed a blow to the gut, noting that Yuki was the son of the Sunpong Hotel's chief executive officer. He should have inherited his father's strength, but it looked like his stomach was a little bit soft. Taewon cursed him while Zeroth tried to stay calm, but the heavy guy charged at Tae-In without any plan at all. Tae-In simply called out his name while effortlessly blocking the strike. Taewon was absolutely terrified by the man's power. The father asked who he was dealing with. Taewon was shocked that Tae-In did not recognize his father, Go Yong-won. Tae-In recognized him as the vice president's son who had grown quite a bit, but he told the boy to lose some weight while sending him flying. Zeroth and Iljun could only watch the scene in absolute horror. Tae-In identified Zeroth as the son of the entertainment company's president, a man named Nam Jing-yu. He called him Nam Bong-yu, making Iljun burst out laughing while Zeroth demanded to know who the hell this old man thought he was. Tyson was furious, asking Iljun if he actually thought the situation was a joke. With his friends falling one by one, Tae-In looked at Iljun and decided the boy desperately needed a very harsh education and respect. Zeroth begged him to wait, asking if he could handle the fallout. Tae-In asked if they considered the consequences while beating his son. Zeroth stuttered, trying to admit he had made a mistake. Tae-In told him that mistakes require punishment and responsibility. Then he stepped forward as the young man started screaming for mercy. Back at the hospital, his mother sat by his side, peeling apples and handing them to her recovering son. Tae apologized, but his mother told him to stop because he did nothing wrong. The ones who hit him were the ones who owed him an apology. Tae disagreed, swearing that next time, he would be the one fighting back. His mother mentioned that a beautiful girl had been the one to call the police, and Tae realized Yunya was much more loyal than he ever imagined. She teased him, saying she was shocked her son actually had such a gorgeous friend in his life. You and I have to wonder, should a mother really say that to her son? She mentioned the girl was worried and incredibly grateful. Tae felt a small spark of joy. Then the door suddenly swung open. It was Tae's mother. She walked in right on time, bringing a fresh plate of fruit for her guest. All right, you and I are about to see a familiar face. It is Nara, telling him he is finally awake. Tae asked why she was even there. Nara snapped back that she was just checking on him, though his attitude was terrible. Tae realized the truth then. It was not Yunya who had called the police after all. Nara leaned in close, whispering something vital. She warned him that they needed to escape this despair test together, right now. Tae was stunned. How did she know? Nara explained that she had already broken out of her own test to rescue him. When he asked how she managed that, she just shrugged. To be honest, she did not have a single clue how it happened. She just remembered waking up inside the protective barrier Udarinai had set. For some reason, she was the only one who snapped out of it. Everyone else was trapped in horrific nightmares. But Nara felt a strange, unique energy flowing within Tae. She reached out and touched that beautiful power. Suddenly, she felt herself being sucked directly into his subconscious mind. That is how she ended up here. Since she was already inside his inner world, she insisted they leave together. Tae hesitated, admitting he still did not have a clue on how to actually get out of there. Now watch closely here. Nara is shocked if he truly wants to leave. Why has he not conquered his despair yet? Tae stood firm. He needed to escape, save his comrades, and continue the desperate war against the constellations. He had every reason to leave this place behind. His mother watched them, confused, asking what they were even talking about. Nara just smiled and brushed it off, saying they were just caught up in things only they understood. His mother's face fell. She asked if he was heading back to the front lines. Tae tried to find the right words, but she just held his hand, telling him he was her world. As long as they were happy and healthy together, nothing else mattered. She made him promise that if things got dangerous in the future, he would tell her everything. His father interrupted, asking if Tae was hiding something he could not share with his own parents. His mother mentioned he was heading to a friend's funeral, but she desperately wanted to know where it was. Tae claimed it was not a close friend, trying his best to hide the blood, still staining his face. His father warned him to never forget they were by his side. The protagonist just stood there, completely dumbfounded. He sighed, actually moved by those sweet words. He told them not to worry because he is humanity's chosen savior. His mother burst into tears, asking what happened to her son. She was convinced he had taken a massive hit to the head. Nara teased him, calling her mother-in-law. Tae held Nara's hand, realizing his growth came from his parents' love. He felt stronger than ever. He told his parents they did not need to worry about him anymore. He realized he had so many valuable friends with him now. He felt truly happy, telling them he loved them, too. His mother still worried he was brain damaged, but she told him they loved him back as they all held hands. A blinding light erupts from their hands and suddenly, "You and I are back in reality," as Tae finally wakes. Uter and I greeted him, relieved he was back. Tae looked around, realizing they were in the abyss beneath the swamp of despair. She kept everyone inside the barrier, but she needed to know if he and Nara had actually overcome their despair. Tae nodded, but gave the real credit to Yunya, who was still trapped deep inside her own nightmare. Uter and I's expression turned grim. As time passed, the energy of despair in the abyss was only getting stronger. He vowed to save everyone. Nara felt the energy too. Then a sudden light enveloped them both. Tae and Nara were pulled into Iljin's dream. Udor and I watched in shock, realizing it was happening all over again. She wondered what Nara truly was. She had felt something strange about that girl ever since the Wrath constellation test. Nara was never affected by the virus. She was the only one who did not suffer, even managing to control that power. Even now, Nara did not remember it, but she was still the very first person to conquer the despair test. On top of that, Nara could enter mental worlds, something even Udor and I could not do. She is definitely someone special. Deep inside Iljin's mind, Nara looked around and realized they had a massive problem on their hands. Tae asked what was wrong, but a voice interrupted, demanding to know who they were and why they were ruining the match. Nara apologized, saying they would leave immediately. Tae looked around, stunned to realize they were standing in a massive soccer stadium. He is wondering how a guy like Iljin could feel despair. Guess you and I will find out next time. Let's dive into the origin of Kim Iljin, the boy who somehow became hamburger meat. This is a memory where he first felt total despair. Nara searches for him while he's busy complaining about being benched by the coach. He threatens to have his powerful father remove the coach from his position. Tae-In explains that this was middle school Iljin, back when he had quit soccer. The coach grabs his shoulder. He says he doesn't care who his father is. Selfish players aren't welcome here. Iljin is furious, and our heroes realize exactly what is happening now. Pay attention here, because Nara thinks some viewers actually really love these stories. A troublemaker grows up, evolves, and finally leads his team to a massive victory. They decide to fix this drama quickly, resolving the issue in just one chapter. He asks, "Do you know me?" He thinks he recognizes Tae-In as the school pervert and demands to know what he is doing there and why he is so tall. He spots the girl too, and Tae-In realizes this annoying situation is an alert that he hasn't fully overcome despair. Since this is Iljin's world, Tae-In triggers time stop, admitting he actually missed using the system power. Nara is impressed by the ability, while Tae-In plans to just teleport the kid out. Nara stops him, wondering what happens to the hamburger if they take his past self. Tae-In wonders about taking him out. Maybe they cannot coexist. Nara insists he must overcome despair here to save his body. Tae-In admits she is the smart one, so she is likely right about this. Okay, you and I are going to watch as Tae-In fixes his personality from afar. Tae-In restarts time, returning the colors. Iljin wakes up and immediately drops to his knees, trying to find the words. He admits he doesn't want the company, he just wanted respect through his soccer. Nara is confused, but Tae-In says he just adjusted his mindset. Iljin realizes his teammates' struggles and how much he relied on his father's name. Tae-In realizes Iljin became a delinquent. If he hadn't quit soccer, maybe he wouldn't be so lost now, so he should have noticed his feelings earlier. The guy who was a villain before now has a chance for a clean slate. They'll help him overcome despair, though Nara thinks that might be too boring. He uses the temporal acceleration skill. Iljin rushes to the coach, kneeling and tearfully begging for another chance. The coach is stunned, but he finally smiles and sends him onto the field. The rest of the team glares at him with pure hatred and hostility. He's nervous, but the game restarts and a forward charges down the field. Iljin calls for a pass, but his teammate just stares and ignores him completely. Feeling dejected, he watches as the forward's shot is blocked by the defense. Everyone scrambles for the rebound, but Iljin is already one step ahead. He snatches the ball, zips past a defender, and goes one-on-one with the keeper while the opponents panic. He looks ready to strike, but suddenly passes the ball to his teammate. He's shocked, but Iljin smiles. They score a goal now. As the team celebrates, The forward reaches out and offers Iljun a friendly handshake. They shake hands while the coach smiles. Tae-In says, "Time's up, and honestly, you and I have to admit, that was cool. Trust me, you are going to love this." Tae-In says that style was so fun he wants to create a sports manhwa. Nara points out the despair aura is finally fading. Tae-In notes that Iljun has officially conquered his inner demons. Nara admits his inner world is surprisingly fun, so they keep moving just as Iljun's mindscape starts to shut down. Iljun snaps awake from his dream, stretching and mentioning that he feels like he just had the best sleep ever. Nara asks if he is doing okay, and Iljun nods, saying he feels completely refreshed and ready to go. Next up is the inner world of the celestial demon, Cheon-ma. Nara worries it looks like a terrifying martial arts world, but Tae-In tells her not to worry. He can use his powers now and promises to keep her safe. Nara blushes at that, and together they step into Cheon-ma's world as the barrier begins to glow again. Our main character opens his eyes and realizes he is standing right in the middle of a martial arts wasteland. But wait, why are Jo Yunya and Layla here? And why in the world are they wearing those strange outfits? This is the exact scene from chapters 4 and 5, back when they first met and fought Cheon-ma. Yunya asks why he is acting so weird, but Nara suddenly shouts a warning about something hiding in the smoke. Cheon-ma demands to know what kind of trick this is, but his voice sounds shockingly feminine and high-pitched. Everyone is stunned. Tae-In wonders why she was dragged back to this specific moment in her past. Now watch this. Is this her deepest despair? Cheon-ma screams, asking what that bastard did to her body. Tae-In realizes what is happening as Cheon-ma charges forward, demanding to be turned back into a man immediately. A green light floods the entire area and boom, he is finally back. Cheon-ma laughs, feeling his massive masculine energy finally return to his body. Nara says the job is done since he has his masculinity back, so it is time for them to leave. Tae-In adds that the despair is officially gone, but Cheon-ma isn't finished and calls out his name. Wait, she is a woman again? She declares she is the world's greatest man while Tae-In tells everyone to move. Cheon-ma demands to be changed back, but our hero just jokes that the readers prefer her like this. The furious martial artist threatens to cut him down so he can never open his mouth to joke again. Nara asks if a change might be good. He already reached the top as a man and was dying of boredom. Wouldn't it be more fun to try becoming the strongest in the world as a woman this time around? Cheon-ma finds the idea interesting. Her pure masculine energy has shifted into feminine energy, completely changing her inner power. You and I both know what this means. She is about to reach a whole new level of power. Nara loves the attitude and starts rooting for Cheon-ma's new journey. Tae-In tells everyone to huddle up because it's time to help Layla. They dive straight into her inner world. Inside, the crown prince is brandishing a knife and screaming at his wife, claiming she is just his property. Layla begs Jerian to calm down, insisting she belongs to him, but he refuses to listen to her desperate pleas. He didn't want her loyalty forced, he wanted her to choose him of her own free will. He rages about all the favors he gave her family while she just used him, and never even bothered to say she loved him. Layla breaks down, admitting she only cared about her family, and mocks him for calling his obsession true love. Jerian is stunned, but then he starts laughing with a gaze full of madness and pure, unfiltered despair. He calls her incredible, saying she truly is the greatest villain the Imperial Palace has ever seen. She is a beautiful flower who keeps stabbing his heart with thorns, so now he plans to cut her down. Tae-In interrupts the drama and, with a simple flick of his finger, blasts the crazy prince away. Everything around them is leveled. Layla cries out to Tae-In, who tells her he is here to take her home away from that trash. But Layla shakes her head, sobbing as a dark aura of despair begins to radiate from her body. She says Jerian is pathetic, born to be an emperor, yet cursed with a heart that could never be filled. Tae-In tries to argue, but Layla insists that if she had actually loved him, none of this tragedy would happen. Nara realizes her despair comes from the crushing guilt she feels over the death of her husband. Tae-In is confused, but Cheon-ma steps forward and calls her pathetic, threatening to end her life right now. Tae-In demands to know what she is doing, but Cheon-ma asks if this isn't what Layla truly wants. Cheon-ma hates this weakness, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this ends. Alright. You and I are about to dive into one of the most emotional trials yet. Only those who survive to reach their goals, no matter how small, walk the demonic path. To live, you must hold on. If you're already clinging to life, then dive into that thought. That's the only will you need to fight. Nara finds that philosophy amazing, while Tae-In says it's exactly what he expected from the legendary and cool Chun-Ma. Layla is moved by their support. She smiles and thanks them just as a blinding light swallows the entire area. Yuduru Rainy is stunned. They were actually overcoming their deepest despair. Humans are full of surprises, especially Tae-In. He finally looks free, no longer carrying the world alone. This trial has clearly made them stronger than ever. Tae realizes this is the final stage. He's inside Jo Yunya's dream world now. Tae knows that without her, he'd be lost in darkness. This time, he promises his friends will be the ones to save her. Now pay attention, because here's the mystery. Who is this girl abandoned on a deserted island? Tai wonders how she became this person. He needs to know what led her to this lonely fate. Meanwhile, Chunma senses no other life nearby. Tae-In realizes they're stuck on a completely desolate island. Nara wonders about Jo Yunya's past, but the hungry girl just stares at Iljin like he's a snack. The hamburger tells her it's not food, which startles her. Tae-In quickly steps in to comfort the poor, frightened girl. They explain they're here to rescue her. Yunya is shocked they know her name and asks about her father. The protagonist plays along. The girl is skeptical, and Chunma realizes she isn't someone who's easily fooled. He describes her father perfectly, from his brown hair to his city life, claiming he sent them to find her. That's all Yunya needed. She bursts into tears and collapses into his arms. Tae-In asks how long she's been alone and if she can explain how she ended up there. Yunya explains she was traveling with her father. Back then, her only dream was being a pirate captain. Her father took her out to sea to teach her the ropes, but a massive storm hit and the boat was in trouble. He told her to stay safe inside the cabin, but she wanted to be brave like a captain and help him. While trying to find him, the boat crashed and she was swept into the cold ocean. She screamed for her father, but he couldn't hear her. The boat drifted away, and everything went black. When she woke up, she was here. She spent her first day crying until nightfall, when the freezing cold set in. She thought she was going to die, but she didn't want her parents to be heartbroken for her. She held on to hope that her father would find her, remembering survival videos she'd watched as a kid. Tae notes her many dreams while Yunya builds a shelter and finds a clean water source. She learned to build fires for warmth and eventually figured out how to forage for food. Despite the injuries and sickness, she stayed strong, convinced her father was out there somewhere searching for her. You and I can both feel how heavy this is. A little girl, surviving all alone against absolutely impossible odds. She asks if she can see him now. Tae-In promises they'll take her to him right this second. Yunya asks them to wait a moment while she goes to grab her precious belongings. Tae-In is humbled, wondering what he was doing at her age besides being spoiled. The girl approaches them again. Tae-In tells her it's time to go, but he notices she's carrying something small in her hand. It's the most beautiful shell she found on the island. She wants to give it to her father to show him she's all right. Nara assures her that they'll be back with her father in the blink of an eye. Tae activates his teleportation skill, a bright light flashes, and Yunya is finally reunited with her parents. In reality, she was saved by a fishing boat, but the reunion took much longer and the shell was lost. If things had happened like this in the real world, Yunya's fate would have been completely different. So what do you and I take from this? Hope conquers despair. Now, a crying Yunya wakes up face to face with Tae-In. She immediately punches him, asking why his perverted face is the first thing she sees. The protagonist is left wondering where that sweet, angelic girl went. Yunya stands up, her head throbbing from the strange dream. Udeni notes that the despair has finally been broken. Tae-In turns to Yudui and thanks her for keeping them safe within the barrier. Alright, let's jump back in as our group returns to the home of despair for the ultimate showdown. To save the universe, she should have stopped them, but Yud Rainey wants to see their brand of justice. The massive barrier rises from the depths, returning to its place atop the jagged cliff. Muramu is baffled that humans conquered despair. It makes no sense to her, but the group steps outside. Tae wastes no time, triggering Stage 3 Ascension and his Necklace of Wrath. He lunges at the constellation of despair, unleashing a devastating berserker fist strike while declaring that they are settling the score right now. The constellation recoils in shock, demanding to know how a formless being could even be touched. Tae gives her no room to breathe, following up with a brutal knee strike from his berserker kick. He admits the feeling is refreshing as hell, while a panicked Muramu calls out to the constellation of justice to find out what is going on. She could not believe a constellation was not secretly helping them, because her authority as a zodiac should be impossible for any human to overcome. Yud Rainey calmly explains that she is just observing, and they clearly use their own combined power to pass her test. Mimu just laughs at that, claiming the power these humans have is basically a delicious meal for her. Suddenly, Morimu lunges at the group. Tae feels the massive energy gathering, but a heavy palm strike sends our protagonist flying backward. Muramu scoffs, saying that if her swamp of despair failed, she would just have to try something else. Now pay attention, she is about to show him the true, crushing weight of their power difference. His system triggers the imitating fist. If a power gap made him despair, he would have given up long ago. He charges the girl while she is still analyzing him, winding up for a blazing meteor fist. Muramu barely moves, blocking the blow with her crypto fluid. Brute force alone is not going to cut it here. Tae struggles to break through, and Nara shouts his name to warn him, reminding him that in this pouring rain and water-filled arena, fire attacks are at a total disadvantage. He realizes his amulet of wrath had him stuck on fire moves, but Murimu cuts him off, saying he cannot afford to be distracted. She activates a bubble of despair, forcing the dark question directly into his mind. Tae screams, trying to fight off the mental invasion, eventually triggering his electric discharge skill to break free. Miramu is stunned. She cannot believe her mental attack actually failed to break him. Tae explains he survived by controlling his mind and rage with his ascension power. Now, he is following Nara's advice and switching to electricity. He challenges Muramu, telling her to see if she can block his lightning or just get fried alive. But Yunya stops the fight. She has been watching from the side and wonders why Tae keeps bravely provoking his enemy and explaining his techniques. Is combat not supposed to be about being unpredictable? Tae hits her with some meta logic, saying that quiet fights are too short and readers finish them too fast. To give more satisfaction, you and I both know we need that dialogue and big reveals to keep things hype. Tae lunges at Muramu once more, using an electric punch to blast through the wall of water. Her defense starts cracking, but she pushes her powers to the limit. Suddenly, something grabs the hero's feet. Tae wonders what these things are. Muramu mocks him, saying he will never win in her domain, but Tae unleashes a massive burst of electricity. The water splashes everywhere but immediately reforms. Tae curses as he realizes his attacks are not working at all. Murimu tells him to stop holding back and just let his devastating despair consume everything. Tae just scoffs, and suddenly, a massive energy dragon begins to take shape right behind Muramu. He strikes with his demonic dragon martial technique, while Layla lands dozens of slashes before stopping in front of him. Muramu holds Tae's arms, but he explains that her pressure actually helped them grow even stronger. Murimu is losing it, repeating that it is impossible, as pure despair starts to overwhelm her instead. Tae points out this always happens when a villain goes crazy and starts repeating the same phrases. Layla smiles, announcing that she has finally managed to overcome her own limits. But the protagonist knows it is not over, and trust me, you and I are about to see something insane as Muramu unleashes her original power. You and I now see the Virgo mark. Yudu Rainey warns this is the supreme power of the 12 houses, making it incredibly dangerous. Muramu has shifted into new armor within her avatar form, leaving Yudu Rainey with no other choice. While Muramu keeps warning them, we learn the War of Constellations was the very first and final clash since the universe began. The fallout of these cosmic beings colliding was pure devastation. Eventually, the King of Constellations formed a council and banned any further battles between these high-level beings. These entities emerged to keep cosmic order, commanded to take the shape of his creations, their human forms. Maintaining order required massive power, so the strongest were chosen to be the 12 of the zodiac. These 12 were granted the ability of incarnation, finally unlocking the true, terrifying form of a constellation. Yor-Nai explains that they are looking at the ruler of universal despair, the true form of Miramu Rimuri. Yuna says she does not understand it, but the vibe is definitely dangerous. Meanwhile, Cheon-Ma just thinks it looks fun and is itching for a real fight. He charges in using his celestial demon palm strike, but gets instantly trapped in a bubble of despair. Now pay attention, because Muramu says reaching her is impossible while you are feeling such intense, soul-crushing despair. She asks why they even bother resisting, since falling into despair is a privilege for all beautiful creatures. Tae activates his planet destroying ability while shouting her name, threatening to blow up Muramu and the world. Murmuru just laughs and asks if he is really willing to blast his own friend away. Tae hesitates, but Cheon-Ma yells for him to just pull the trigger already. Our protagonist realizes that even with his celestial demon powers, he wouldn't survive a direct hit. Muramu mocks his expression, seeing it as the perfect mix of hopelessness, and tells him his struggle is useless. Plus, she sees why other gods like these humans, but Iljin shouts that she is a coward who relies on looks. He hurls 2 pickles at her, and the strange attacks fly toward Muramu. She thanks him for the snack but wonders who he is. Ilyan tells her to remember his name. He might look like a hamburger, but he's the man who stole her talent. Layla uses her malice ability to free the celestial demon, while Yunya also charges forward to help. Muramu calls them foolish obstacles. Before they can land a hit, the waters of despair surround the girls too. Nara says things are going off plan, but Tae can only shout for his friends. Wait for it, this is the moment the goddess realizes she isn't untouchable. A deep cut opens on her face. Layla actually managed to wound her using a simple knife. Murimu grabs the weapon and realizes it is the artifact of the gastronomy constellation, wondering why a human has it. Furious that she was touched, she cranks up the pressure on the 3 girls to a breaking point. This just enrages Tae further, as he pushes forward, refusing to accept defeat. Nara begs Yor-Nai for help before they all die, but the constellation refuses to break the law. Nara pleads with her, asking if the constellation of justice really thinks this situation is fair. Even the hamburger guy asks if she thinks this massive power gap is fair, begging her to release them. Finally, Yudu Rainey brings out her scales, while Tae-In charges in with his ethereal sword. He tries to slash her, but Muramuru warns that he will only end up cutting his own trapped companions. Tae curses her out, demanding they settle this in a fair fight. She mocks his request and sends a water attack his way, telling him he has done his best. She thanks him for the hope he provided, only so she could shatter it and feed on his despair. Nara and even Tae fall to their knees. Marimu moves in, but realizes the protagonist is smiling instead. She notices a cut on her hand. Tae-In admits he was tired earlier, but now everything feels strangely easy. He says the flow of the story is moving them now. It is the true spirit of webtoons. Trust me, you and I are about to see this goddess humbled as Yudu Rainy appears in full armor. You and I are about to see if Muramu was insane for attacking one of the 12 zodiacs. Ilgen knew Libra would have her back, while Muramu is in shock. She truly thought the universal order would side with those worthless lives. But get this, Udaranai never even weighed their lives. She followed her own sense of justice, measuring only right and wrong. For Libra and Ilgen, the answer was exactly the same. This is her truth. Marimu begs her to stop, but trust me, you won't believe what happens when she summons the divine incarnation.